Welcome to Red Sound Review. Today we are joined. I'm going to probably pronounce your last name completely wrong. Sal Abruscato.
You said it right. You just
Perfect.
left FDR a little bit, but you said it as good. I
Well,
couldn't
from New
ask for
York,
better.
Abruscato. Come on,
Yeah.
Wayne.
I'm used to people destroying it. Forget about it. Down here in Florida, I'm exotic down here.
Yeah.
I'm like some kind of like zebra teak tiger wood down here. It's like I'm very exotic. They look at me when I talk. Their jaws drop open and they don't understand me. If I walk, like whether it's post office or CVS or anywhere, and I'm like, excuse me. Right away, huh? Because I'm not that far. We're not that far from Georgia either, because I'm in northern Florida. So there's a lot of that southern. You'll come across people with a little bit of a southern thing too. The hospital, totally. Everyone's sweet though. So I'm getting used to it as a New Yorker, man. I'm trying to slow down. I had to apologize the other day at Dodge because I wanted my oil change done freaking Jiffy Lube. Yeah. And I had to tell the lady, look, I apologize. I know I got to slow my roll. I'm from New York and I want things done yesterday. And, oh, no, that's okay. We get a kick out of your accent. You just have a good day. We'll see you next time.
I just picture everybody in Florida talking like Dusty Rhodes. Yeah. Oh, no, baby. You need an oil change. You need an oil change. And you need a new air filter, baby. What I suggest you get, if you will.
An O2 sensor.
There you go. An O2 sensor.
But I'll tell you one thing. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's so many people that come here, and I had no idea. It's very nice, and the kids love it, and the family love it. So we're rolling with it. I'm just trying to make friends. Which is difficult to do in your 50s, right?
It's getting busy down there, though. Like everybody's moving there, so
everyone's moving here right now. The schools are swamped. Everything's swamped. The market's crazy. I got down here. We bought the house a year ago, August. I came down last year in July, flew down, looked at houses. With me and my daughter came down because my wife stayed up north with everyone else, and we did a lot of FaceTime, Zoom stuff with the houses and stuff. Yeah. And we wanted it because a lot of people, there was this trend, people buying homes sight unseen. Yeah. That's a risky business, buying sight unseen, right? Look, it looks gorgeous in the pictures, but hey, Photoshop really makes things look good, and you're looking at a house basically with beer goggles, Right. So we did. It was a big sacrifice, a lot of hard work. And we drove down here, both our vehicles. I had a trailer on the truck. We sent some pods down. We loaded it up ourselves, unloaded it. We just worked, did it, made it happen. That's it.
I've been to Florida once. My wife and I went on vacation 10 years ago to Key West, and that was pretty wild.
That's way south.
Yeah, our last night there, we met this really cool couple out of California. Very attractive couple. And they just so happened to tell us, pardon me, they just so happened to tell us, by the way, we're swingers. And my response was, by the way, we're not. So, not looking to buy property in Key West anytime soon. Thank you very much.
They're a little bit, it's a different, that's, oh God, that's like 5 hours away from me. I mean, that's so different down there, and it's so much hotter. But it's just a change, but it's for the better, and it's wonderful. And I tell you, I got a hot tub with the pool and everything, and I never had that. Even in upstate, we had property, but I never had the kids were using kiddie pools, so they're having a time of their lives. So, and that's what it's all about. And they're enjoying the opportunities here with schools and universities, Florida University, and they have this program called Bright Futures. I mean, literally, if you keep your GPA up in high school, you can get 100% of your college paid for here in the state of Florida. It's brilliant. And depending on what grade you get, they'll do either 100%, 75%, or 50%. And it's a huge concentration down here, especially when it comes to marine biology, when it comes to a lot of science, NASA, there is a lot of stuff down here. And there's a lot, of course, military, Blue Angels, all that stuff. So it's a bustling state. The economy is off the hook. Listen, people, people have a choice, right? And enough's enough. You know, I was paying a fortune in taxes, like you do in Long Island, and like you do in New Jersey, and like you do up there in these types of states, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm paying because
Pay your taxes.
Yeah, I'm sending my daughter to a good public school in Orange County. You know, Warwick is a postcard type of town. You know, paying all his school taxes, but then all of a sudden I ended up paying another tuition to send her to a private Catholic academy because of like the changes the schools were implementing in the public school system for New York State. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So now we get into something different. So it's like, I'm like, why am I paying all this money? Why am I paying all this money for school tax? And then I got to still send it to a private school because they're just filling her head. They want to fill her head with whatever junk that they want to fucking indoctrinate her with, right? Okay, let's be frank here, right? Let's be frank. So, there was that. There was a lot of issues with New York City, period. New York City's not the New York City. Like when I was hanging out in the city, whether it was in the teens or in the 90s, it was a different scene. But I remember coming back when I was back with Life of Agony in the 2000s. And there was all these scenesters. All of a sudden, there's these scenesters. Everyone was a scenester and knew how to work it, and get backstage, and this and that and that, and all these followers and all these fakers, and it's just I just thought I really got tired. Like I wasn't the kind of guy that was into hanging out for the sake of hanging out at a venue. You know what I mean? Unless it was an incredibly special act, but that even was rare and seldom. I just couldn't. To me, it was like being on stage was my purpose. I didn't want to deal with all the other bullshit and try. I'm not part of the scene. If anything, I'm pioneering it. I'm not following it. I'm not being a sweatster, as we used to say. So there was honestly 100 reasons that I left. 100 reasons why I left the state of New York. And I will say it is one of the most beautiful states in the country. I'll always be New York through and through as far as, being a real New Yorker and having a real New Yorker's values. But that doesn't
still have the accent too.
Oh yeah,
you know what?
You never lose it.
I'll swing it proudly, and then when I get mad, I start talking in Italian. It gets even more fucked up.
Disgraziato, infame.
Yeah, exactly, my friend. Exactly. There you go. You must be, you're a fellow greaser, obviously.
Well, yes. Well, I mean, I'm the only Greek that grew up on a block of Italians, so they told me you only love two men in life: Jesus and Bruno Sammartino. That's what they told me.
Who's Bruno Sammartino?
Who's Bruno Sammartino?
You don't know.
Only the greatest WWF champion of the 70s.
Oh, I didn't follow that.
Well, I had to.
I didn't follow that stuff.
All right, get off the show then. No.
Hey.
A couple of people in the chat here. Doug Lane said, "Good to have you here in Florida, Sal. Northwest Panda." He's from the Northwest Panhandle.
Oh, nice. I did that drive. I did a drive back in January. I said, I'm going to drive to Texas and for a thing, and I'll tell you, that was the longest drive from here, getting on 10 and all the way through Tallahassee to get all the way through that whole panhandle to hit. Oh my God, that's a 4-hour drive in itself from here all the way to get to the, But thank you. I've gotten like the few people that have figured out online that I'm down here, that are from down here, have been all sweet and really like pretty kind of, I guess maybe surprised that I'm down here, maybe, or maybe not surprised. I don't know, but some of them are surprised, and it's cool. It's cool. It's nice.
Very cool. I didn't know we were going to talk about Florida. Actually, one of the guys, another co-host, is from Florida too, and I wish he was here because he would talk to you more about Florida.
He is from the Bronx originally, though. I
am no expert. I'm learning. I've been like a hermit. My wife's out more than me. I'm doing my own thing in here, and I'm very, I maintain things and take care of the house. I got my hands on everything. I'm Mr. Fix-It-All. I do this, I do that. I can't stop. So I'm good, but I don't know many people. I'm waiting to get my car, hopefully in the fall when it's done. And then I can start to go to car shows, and then I can start mingling around and meeting people with the same, common likes and stuff.
Yeah. It'll happen eventually. But I see you wearing a Repulsion shirt. Where in the hell did you get that?
Okay, so
I want it.
the story is that this shirt, actually, like I was saying before, it was in the. It's amazing I still have it. I was in the closet. I've never worn this before. I actually put this on special for this, and then I'm going to take it off and fold it up and put it away because it's really near and dear and special. Yeah. So when I was in the band, we used to rehearse. When we started, we used to rehearse in a basement of an apartment building that my father owned. I mean, concrete basement. So you can imagine how loud it was. So we built a room. We built the room in this basement and put up sheetrock, studs, electrical. Pete says, I get the paint. At that time, he worked at the Parks Department. He comes, he brings the paint. New York City Special Parks Department paint. Well, let me tell you, this fucking paint was like old school, World War II, the fucking B-52 bomber paint that it was oil paint. It took months for it to dry. Months. And every time we rehearsed, people would get it on their backs and it would always be sticky. The fucking paint never dried. You never heard the end of that. Anyway, we used to have Josh's giant keyboard bins. We used to have all the Peters speakers, all this stuff in a room that we built in a New York City, Brooklyn building basement, cement basement. And it was loud as fuck. And we would play it like, we'd show up and we'd play like 7, 8 at night till about 10. People would be losing their minds. There would be nothing but feedback. The sound would reflect because of all the cement in the basement. We'd leave the cellar doors open, those steel grate.
Yeah.
And that was on Quentin Road between East 31st and East 32nd Street. And those that know me that are watching, that know from back then, they know. So they'll know that spot. And so we were rehearsing in the basement. So what happened was we were doing some shows. I'm trying to get to the point, I know. And we had leftover merch. This was the merch. When the band was called Repulsion, we did a handful of shows around the 5 boroughs as Repulsion. Most of them, I think, were at Lemore's, but I think we played like, Staten Island. We did, I think, Long Island. We were about, we were doing these. And that was when the band was called. So there was a box of these shirts that were just abandoned in this basement of a building that my dad had. Because obviously when the band changed the name, because there was another band called Repulsion, eventually there was a band that sent a cease and desist letter. So we became Typo Negative. So there you go. At that very moment, when we changed to Typo Negative, these shirts were completely worthless to us. So there was like maybe a couple of dozen of these laying around. Well, my dad eventually, years later, he sold the property. He doesn't live nowhere. He had it and he still didn't live in Brooklyn, but years later sold it. And, when they're cleaning things out in that, I think, he said, I found a few of these and he gave them to me. And I was like, holy shit. And I think, I don't know, I had like 2 or 3, maybe 4. I gave 3 or 2 away. I gifted them to, and I can't, because he handed me this years ago also. This is nothing recent. I've held on to this shirt. This shirt is got to be from like either late 89 or early 1990. Wow. So this thing's a fucking relic, People are like freaking, put it on eBay. It's probably worth $1,000.
No, it's your memories, man.
But nah, I have a lot of stuff that people have eyed up that, I don't know. There's some things I did sell, which are fine, that made sense to me. But some things I just, I had to make space. So when I left, but some things you just don't let go. You try not to let go of everything because, it's never going to be replaceable,
Right.
And these are memories. To me, the logo is awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
If I could think of the shows you played on Staten Island, that was the Wave, and in Long Island it was the Roxy in Huntington, right?
Yeah, but that was with a lot of that was with Life of Agony, but also Typo did there was a place in Staten Island called, what was it, Red Spot? It was called the Red Spot or something. We played there with Prong. It was on the other side. It was on a completely other side from where the Wave was located. You know what I mean? Somebody out there knows. There was one show we did. We played with Prong. We opened up for Prong. We was, brand new. We were I think it was called the Red Spot.
All right, cool.
When you got with Typo Negative, did you know Carnivore at all? Like, were you friends with them and with Peter Steele beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The story is that I was this kid. I lived on East 33rd Street in Brooklyn, and when I would come home from school on Quentin Road, there was this blacksmith shop. I walked by. Oh, you used to hear all this percussion stuff going on. All kinds of Latin stuff. Anyway, one day I met this guy Papo, and through this guy Papo, I ended up working there. Peter and Louie used to work in this place. And that's how the connection was made, where this guy Papo heard me playing drums. He's like, hey, man, he was like a hipster, Coke hipster from the 70s, amazing Latino artist. And, guys like Tito Puente used to come by, Sheila E. They used to get all gacked up and play all afternoon. With all the Chiba smoke coming out, emanating from the shop. It was great, times. Man. It was a fucking learning experience. I was 13 years old, dude. 13. Wow. Already I was starting to get exposed to like incredible talent. And so I was already starting to become a sponge with that too. And then he heard me play on a demo, whatever, local garage thing, kiddie band, right? And he's like, hey man, what you got to do, man, is you got to take some fucking drum lessons. Listen, man, the guy that used to work over here, man, Louie, man, he's a hot drummer, he lives right over here. I'm like, really? Right over here? He's like, yeah, right over here. So he gives me the phone number, and I call up Louie. Turns out Louie lived on East 33rd Street between Quentin and Avenue P. Oh, wow. So we were one avenue on the same street, one avenue, like literally, like just like he's there and I'm there. You just got to cross Quentin Road to go to. We used to go to each other's house, and that's how we did the lessons. And that's how it started. Boom! I got exposed to his band, and I remember seeing the flyers because I lived on Quentin Road was a venue called Zappa's, Frank Zappa's club, and it's called Zappa's, and all these bands used to play there a lot. It was down the road a little bit, and so I used to see the flyers. I knew the name. I used to think the logo was cool. They used to have a big saber-tooth tiger, and all this shit going on, and started taking drum lessons instantly. I started getting exposed to this realm of music, and all of a sudden it was like I finally get to meet. He took me to a rehearsal, and when I went to the rehearsal, they were rehearsing in Peter's basement. At that time, Peter was married. He was living in his basement, and they were rehearsing in his basement. And it was the same basement that he lived at in his mother's house till almost the end.
Was this when Keith Alexander was the guitarist, or what?
Correct?
Okay,
correct. Correct. Keith Alexander. I met Keith Alexander, who was a big teddy bear, and Pete, and then we all started. And then I started roadieing, and I started hanging out, going with them to the shows. They were opening up for Manowar, Cro-Mags. They were playing L'Amour's. They were playing L'Amour East at that time in Queens. They were playing, in the city, CBGB's, and I had about 8 years difference with them. Okay. So at that time, I was again, a young teenager just being exposed to these guys that were older than me, that were the musicians of Brooklyn, you know what I mean? All these guys. And then being around guys from Cro-Mags, or being around from guys going to these shows as a kid, even those matinees, Agnostic Front, Cro-Mags, all that stuff at CBGB's. I used to go to those shows because Carnivore was always playing those shows with them. Right. So because they became a crossover band, they were doing a lot of hardcore shows, and it was nuts. But that's how I got exposed. I became friends with Pete. I was like Pete's little brother. He would give me hats, pins, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It just became this little thing, and it was cool. And that was with the first record. And then they were working on Retaliation. And I remember that, now Peter was exposed to this thrashcore, metalcore crossover thing going on in the city too. And he just happened to be really good at just doing that. And so when I remember hearing them rehearse, then at that time they had a rehearsal. This was when they had Mark Vivianetti. They had a rehearsal room on Cortellia Road in a garage in Brooklyn. Downtown Brooklyn. And I used to go with them to those rehearsals, and it was just a 2-car garage. And Louis was at the riser, I think, with the milk crates, and they had their fucking props and their shit everywhere, and it was loud as hell. And it was great. And they were rehearsing the Retaliation record. I remember when that record came out, when I heard it, I was just instantly blown away. I was hearing it. I heard them play it. And then when I heard the record, to me, to this day, that record is got to be probably one of the most striking, most influential crossover metal, thrash, hardcore, angst, angry, get your aggression out kind of fucking, you had a bad day kind of fucking music that you put on when you come home at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Or you're going somewhere and you're driving your fucking car 80 miles an hour, and all of a sudden angry neurotic Catholics come on and to this, hands down, my bro Louis, his playing was the best ever. And then these guys topped it off, because then right after that they subbed in on Agnostic Front's Cause for Alarm, where Peter wrote a lot of material and Louis played the drums on that. Yeah. And if you want to hear Insanity,
that's like the Lost Carnivore album, essentially.
Yeah, that record, for me, that's the best. Yeah, that's the best Agnostic Front record, Cause for Alarm. The artwork, it all tied in together. Sean Taggart doing the artwork for everybody back at that time. He was the artist for all these bands out of New York City. Really incredible. I got to witness an incredible time that a lot of posers came in after and jumped on that wagon that really didn't see the origin of it all. And I thought I was really lucky to be exposed. And I kept quiet, and I was just like, I didn't want to be, I was just happy to just be able to hang out and help, lend Louis a cymbal or something, and hang out with these musicians that were older, bigger, better, experienced, knowledge. And how else do you learn until, if you don't shut the fuck up and just watch and learn, right? So that's how it started. So when they broke up, unfortunately, which was, really a shame, I remember hearing the news, they kind of disbanded. None of them, they all had city jobs, and, they were all doing the whatever they needed to do at that stage in their life, right? I was at a comfortable position with Peter where I was literally able to just, go ring his fucking doorbell, right? So, the one that I did not frequent much was Josh, because Josh was in a previous band with them in Fallout, and I didn't really know Josh. I caught a couple of glimpses of him where he waved running into his house kind of thing to those guys. I didn't know him yet, really, for real. And went to Pete's house. I drove to Pete's house, knocked on the door. His father answered the door, hello, Mr. Radicek. Is Peter home? And he goes, I go in, because they didn't even bother going downstairs to the downstairs entrance. We went through the main family entrance. And he yelled down in the basement, Peter. His father was big too. His father was the same height. Like he was a very big man. Yeah. And very, older gentleman, of course. And so that's it. I went downstairs. Said, come on down. And I go down, and I see Pete with a buzz cut, laying on his bed, under his blanket. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm good. I just took the police test. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He was already working for the Parks Department. He was trying to move up to the police, right? Yeah. Imagine him being a cop in this day and age. Hey,
yo, scumbag, you're under arrest.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Even better. Imagine him even being alive in today's world.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The Me Too movement,
Yeah.
all that
Oh,
shit.
yeah. He would be.
All right.
Yep.
All the nonsense is going on. Everyone got their feelings hurt. You know how many people's feelings he'd be hurting right now? It'd be fucking amazing. I'd be laughing ass off. I love it. And you know, that's the thing. So that's how it started. I said to him, I said, dude, listen, you're not playing no more. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna play. Well, I mean, you know, I was like, I got the studio. You want to jam? You want to get together and do something? You know, for fun. Just John. I just asked him honestly, and that was it. And he was like, well, he goes, I was thinking about doing something that was different from Typo. I want something with electronics and keyboards. You know, and that's where he was already in his mind. Like, he really wanted to do something different. He just couldn't do it with the previous band. Right. You know, because it was a different band and a different thing. Right. So here he was. He had this idea. He says, you know, I've been talking to, you know, Josh Silver. I'm like, well, I know of him. I said, I've seen him, but I don't really know him. I said, never really, you know, hung out with the guy, even though he lives like, it was like 6-7 houses up the block. And anyway, and that's what it was. He says, well, I want to talk to Josh. You know, we used to be in, you know, we did the Fallout thing together. I want to bring in keyboards, samples, sound effects, blah, 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 blah. So at that time also, you know, I was hanging out with Kenny. So I was like, you know, he said, I know this dude named Kenny, you know, he hangs out with me and, you know, a bunch of us at the studio. And, you know, maybe, and that's it. And we had a meeting in, I think it was in the summer of, it was the August. I can't give you the exact date, but it was August 1989 at Marine Park, Brooklyn, New York. We met at the park.
Wow.
We met at the park. We drove to the park. They were drinking some tall boys. I wasn't really drinking any beer. I was never much of a big beer guy, but they're drinking, talking, smoking. You know, we smoked cigarettes back then and all that shit. You know, being cool. You know, blah 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 blah. Here I am. I'm literally fucking 19 years old, and I'm standing here with Peter in a band meeting and Josh Silver. I remember meeting Josh Silver the first time when I went to his house. And that's when I met him. We walked over and that's it, you know, and we went from there. And then the way it started was we started rehearsing with what would have been the third Carnivore record.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still tell there's a similar.
Slow, Deep, and Hard is the crossover transition, the gradient transition from Retaliation, Slow, Deep, and Hard to finally you get to Origin of Feces, which is a different variation, a much more tighter band, a much more sophisticated, seasoned band because we had recorded that after doing some tours. And then finally, ultimately, Bloody Kisses, which was the end all as far as the ultimate peak. So, and then everything after that was great, but you know, it plateaued. So it was like insane kind of like escalation if you think about it, because once after Bloody Kisses, then everything plateaued stylistically.
Yeah.
But the dramatic changes, which I think is what was so wonderful, and it's such a shame that so Deep and Hard when it came out, unfortunately, it was not successful. I mean, it was a very abrasive, insane record. I mean, you know, I know you fucking someone else. You know, I mean, you know, this of course not everyone's going to get on board with it. So it was considered a very, very, it's a cultish album, but I'll tell you, it's some of the best playing that all of us ever did.
Right.
You know. It's some of the best raw energy you could get on a record. That was fucking raw. There was no bells or whistles. There was no magic tricks. It was raw dog, analog, 2-inch tape, you know, splicing 1/4-inch tape. Yeah. That was it. You know, that was the old one. No fucking Pro Tools. Fucking played that shit in one take. You know,
Wow.
That's how it had to be.
Yeah.
That's how all those records, those are one takers. There's no fuck. That was before the time of punching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could cut the tape and do a splice, but you know how obvious that is. Have to be you would have been back then like a fucking wizard, of Ampex 456 and all this other shit. All this tape.
And Frank Zappa.
You know, yeah, you got to be like a magician, man. You got to be like Merlin with that shit to make it work. But nah, it's back then. That's the beautiful thing about all those bands back then. You know, you had to pull it off.
Right.
And do a good job, you know. Now these kids, now anybody could be amazing.
Yeah,
everyone could be creative.
Right. Yeah, you're looking at least two of them right here. Me and Lou. We pretend to be creative.
Yeah, everyone could be creative now.
Greg, I don't know. He's creative.
Wayne, I write that damn songs with Severed Angel. Blow me. Anyway.
No, the chance of blowing up in here. Doug Lane. He's been through the cease and desist order thing too, and Colin Madden, he's met some pretty menacing cops, but he's pretty sure I'd mind my P's and Q's if Officer Steele pulled me over on Long Island Expressway.
He looked good in the hat. He looked good. I have his hat. I got his hat right there from work. I have one of his hats.
Really?
Yeah.
Greg, I know you and I have talked a lot about how great those two Carnivore albums are. Of the two of them, like I mean, I think the first Carnivore album is like one of the best debut albums ever. But absolutely. Sal, I gotta agree with you that when Retaliation, like you just said about Slow, Deep, and Hard, Retaliation was a completely different level. Yeah, and the self-titled. You know, I mean, and I actually interviewed Baron Mizuraka last year.
Yeah. Baron's a friend. Yes.
And he was telling me, like, when he plays those Carnivore songs, like when they play Race War, he actually has to put a disclaimer behind it to remind people this is a warning. If you let these kinds of tensions take over, it's not promoting it. And I was thinking about what you said just now, where, like, you know, people still get offended by it. Why get offended? There are a million other things to be more offended by than you know, satirical lyrics.
Let me tell you something. I remember being locked up in a hotel in Berlin with shows being canceled because the left-wing extremists branded us Nazis and had flyers posted up on all the lampposts with Peter's photo saying fucking dead or alive, you know, blah, 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 right-wing Nazi from America, typo negative, We were fucking cooped up, hiding in a fucking hotel in Berlin with press in this room doing press at the same time about the situation. And we had, oh my God, I don't know the accurate number of how many shows, but it was such a catastrophic financial loss because we got there and we ended up canceling. There was about 8 shows, I think, that we couldn't play out of 12. I think we only did 4 or 5 shows out of 2
And that
weeks.
was a tour with the Exploited, correct?
No, that was the tour with an Austrian band called Pungent Stench in Europe.
Oh.
Yep, that's right.
In Europe.
Love Pungent Stench.
And we had a lot of problems. We played this venue in Stuttgart called Die Raw, and we just start playing the songs, and then all of a sudden, all the police and the dogs come rushing into the venue. Someone called a bomb threat.
Oh.
This radical people called the bomb threat because, you know, you are allowing these right wingers from New York to, you know, because the songs from Retaliation carried over. So these songs like the Jesus Hitler, Race War, you know, these things, they really took it to heart. And then because we had on our first record on Slow, Deep, and Hard, we had a song, Waste of Life, that was, the title on it was Der Untermensch, which was another phrase that was very offensive. Jesus Christ, dude, that was like insane. And I didn't think I was ever gonna see or go through anything like that ever again until now.
Surprise.
The funny thing is, Typo Negative was neither right wing nor left wing. Peter always said you guys were chicken wing.
Yeah. You know, we spoofed on everybody. You know, we just spoofed on everybody. We really did. We spoofed on everybody. We had our gripes, but we're of an old school, you know, we're Generation X. We're the last of our kind. And, Peter was, he was the last, he was on the tail end of Boomer, because Gen X started in 66. I think he's 62. So he was at the tail end of Baby Boomers, Peter. And so was Josh. So, man, we're talking about some old school values.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget, Peter was a Catholic. His mother was a devout Catholic. I mean, he had a Catholic funeral. He had a Catholic mass when he had the full. He became very religious before the end, also, and so he would not have been okay, and he would have opened his mouth. He would have done the shock and awe, and we used to get away with a lot of shock and awe back then. But maybe now. Maybe some stupid organization would have fucking, like, you know, pulled their panties, over their heads and run around like fucking chickens in circles, screaming, freaking, we're offended, you know. So, you know, I don't know. God does things in funny ways, and he takes people sometimes for reasons.
Yeah. When you did Bloody Kisses, did you think that album was going to be so popular? While you were
No, I had no idea. We had no idea. I knew it was deep as shit.
Yeah.
I knew it was deep as shit. We spent months, you know, we spent a month at the studio doing the tracks. We spent 2 days doing drum sounds. I lived with Josh at his house, so all we did was smoke a lot of weed and ponder over
Good times.
the right crispy tones of the snare drum to get the right tone out of the heads, everything, before we go back to the studio the next day. And we would just study and just we and him were the team with that. And we would talk, go in the next day, try this, try that, try this, try that. Boom. And it was a little tough because I was using very large toms, and very large toms can be a little bit hard to always control in the studio. So we worked hard on our record, and I knew when I saw a sitar player sitting there, I was like, wow, this is good. We're like the fucking Beatles here. This is like such
Right.
You know, we're turning into like the Beatles, and I loved it.
And that was Paul Bento on sitar, correct?
Paul Bento came in and did the sitar session. And dude, you know, when the record was done, it was amazing. And I knew it was going to be something amazing. But the thing was, I was so like itching to go somewhere. And he was still, you know, things was kind of like slow going with the band getting on a go. And it was slow going. And, you know, until finally the events that happened took place. And then maybe somebody got, you know, I don't know. They just said, okay. And they did it. And they got enough money to do it. And they felt okay. They did it. And then they toured. And then that record got its just deserving notoriety, though. You know, I mean, I'm still, I might as well take you around. I don't know. I'm sitting here like a fucking bump on a log.
Give us a tour.
You know, I mean, I still have like, you know, like all the.
Oh wow!
Like this is the platinum one.
First Roadrunner Records album to go platinum.
Yeah, this is the gold one. It's another one over here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
You know, and then we got, you know, these are things that I'm really proud of. You know, we got Mortal Kombat. That was all Blood and Fire, and so. Yeah, this is kind of like my office studio. I've got a couple of drum sets here. I got John Bonham 26-inch kit here.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the kit the town sent me like a few months ago. I ordered it like 10 months ago. I really didn't need it. It was one of those like spontaneous things where I don't know, the color. It's like a little hot rod, but I didn't need it. But oh well, I've got like a bunch of kits now. I have like so many snare drums and shit, and I got rid of a lot before I moved.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this.
Do you have a favorite snare drum?
You know what? They're all my favorite. I make them all sound great. I like them all. But I got on a big trip with the supersonic, like the Ludwig stuff. I went on a tear where I went and got a Black Beauty. I went and got a copper phonic, which is like a superphonic, but it's the copper shell. Okay. Sounds very. It's got a little. It's bright but dark at the same time. And then I have the supersonic 6.5 inch LM402, the classic, the one that Bonham used. And so I went and got this reissue. This is the reissue Bonham kit. They're not available. I was lucky to find this up in New Hampshire at that drum center up there in Portsmouth.
Okay.
It was like I don't know if it's new old stock or whatever, because these came out in 2010, this edition, and it, you know, just like they did the stainless steel edition, the reissue, the Bonham stainless steel kit, and it sold out instantly. Like you know, like they sold out right away, and they only made like I think 100 or 50 of them or something. So,
oh, really?
Anyway, so I got into that whole thing because I'm a big fan of that sound, that open sound that was going on. So I picked up the his maple green kit, and then I picked up the Vista lights from The Song Remains the Same, that kit. So I was becoming a little bit of an aficionado. You know, they'll be hard to get at times, like these kind of kits. Nobody makes really 26-inch bass drums anymore anyway, and I really like the feel of it. It's pretty neat. It's a pain in the ass to move it around, but if you just leave it set up and you play it and use it for recording, it's badass. I mean, live it's badass too, but it's huge. It sounds great. But
so, Sal, just one thing, if you could dispel a rumor, because I did hear that once Johnny joined the band, that from October Rust up until Life Is Killing Me, that was a drum machine. The 3 albums you played with Type O Negative were actual live drums, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for dispelling that.
Yeah, no, recorded live. I used a Black Tam Imperial Star kit, 14-inch, 15-inch, big giant power toms. I had an 18-inch 4-tom, and that's where I used the coveted 8x14-inch brass free floater snare drum, Pearl free floater snare drum, which is what I used on Bloody Kisses, and then I used it on the River Runs Red recordings, because those 2 recordings of those albums were only about 2-3 months apart. So yeah. So no, I would have, yeah. Fucking drum machine.
Oh, awesome.
not on my records, no.
Cool. I just got to say though, I remember growing up. So this is 1994 we're talking about. I hadn't heard Type O Negative yet. I didn't even know what Carnivore was. So I was 13 going on 14 at the time. So I was bombarded that summer with Offspring, Green Day, Nirvana. Anywho, moving right along, it's 9th grade, and all of a sudden I'm listening to this one radio station, Q104.3, which was pure rock at the time.
Good, yeah, good.
And
station.
All of a sudden I'm hearing this creepy keyboard, and I'm thinking, and I hear this guy singing in like this low bass, and I'm like, Sisters of Mercy are back? And all of a sudden it was Christian Woman, and that's when I became aware of Type O Negative, and I said, I have to find this album. So yeah, that year from 94 until the following year, I mean, Type O Negative was just like, I was obsessed.
That's awesome.
Thank you. That's how I discovered it. And yeah, my life hasn't been the same ever since then. Thanks.
Well, that's great. That's great. But that's what makes the band what it is. You know, it's everyone.
Right. But like, that's the last time I think I could ever remember like an actual newish, not new metal, newish metal band getting airtime on the radio.
Yeah. That was a big deal. that was a big deal. And that was what it started with, Bloody Kisses. And holy shit, you know, who knew?
Yeah, I remember all my friends in high school were all like obsessed with that album, Bloody Kisses, and you know they finally gave it to me, and I'm like, yeah, it's an awesome album. And you know, had listened to the other two, and then Carnivore and all that, and just yeah, everybody was so obsessed with Type O Negative.
I heard Retaliation first, and then moved into Type O from that. And I just remember, what are you guys crazy? Like, yeah, Bloody Kisses is cool, but have you heard fucking Slow, Deep, and Hard, man? This shit is insane.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, it's aggressive playing, extreme time changes. Again, I was not, like I said, I was like 19 years old when I recorded that record. So I was, you know, it was, you know, doing all that double bass and doing all that, you know, just I was in heaven, to be honest with you, because just to know I was actually first of all filling in. I felt like I was filling in for my teacher in a way, like Louis. You know, this would have been like some of the material that I was playing in that first record was material that he was jamming around with, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was onto something good, but I also, you know, what happens when you're young. You know, you have to live a lifetime to become a wise person, and you have to live a lifetime of experience. And so, of course, how many people make rash decisions? How many people say, "Oh, hindsight's 20/20"? How many people jump the gun? How many people are when you're young, dumb, and full of cum, and you're 23 years old? You want to fucking blast off like a rocket ship. You ain't got no time to wait for nobody. You just want to go. And so, you know, and that's how really what it boils down to. It really was just like, come on, dude. I want to get the fuck out of Brooklyn. I want to fucking go somewhere. I want to make something out of myself. You know, it's really what it was. You know, I was the son of an immigrant parents. I was the first generation in this country. I wanted to try to make a mark in something I loved, and I poured every drop I had into this industry. As far as I put out my first record at 16 in 1986 with a band called Toxemia, and we used to play the Sundance in Frank Bayshore. Yeah, Sundance. Lemoore East. We used to play. We opened up for Carnivore on Negative Night with Biohazard and Shiatara. I was in a band that was like kind of like trailing those guys. Like I was like, you know, we were a wannabe Carnivore, basically. And that's cool and all, but I was already at like 16 hustling, like, here, buy my record, you know, like grassroots style, you know, and in small little vinyl shops, you know. Different ball game now. Now everyone's famous, you know, everyone's famous, and girls just have to show like their shit, you know, and they're famous, and everyone just it's the most shallow. If the world, or let's say select places, was not more than ready than ever for a Sodom and Gomorrah experience. I mean, we're at the point of collapse. I really feel that as a society, we're fucking retarded. At least a quarter of the world population. This is retarded.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
This is retarded. What makes people upset now, and what they're not being upset about. The more important things, the distractions, what's really happening underneath the waves, what's really going on under the water. What is the world setting up for us? What countries, what adversaries are planning to attack us, invade us? You know, we're so fucking stupid right now. You know, a colleague, someone in New York, you know, an acquaintance I knew said, listen, as long as people got their fucking Legoland, their Netflix, and their fucking social media, they're fucking happy. The world, everyone could do whatever they want. The government could do it. Everyone could do whatever they fucking want. Nobody, because people are just so like
blind.
Yeah. I don't, you know, I've been branded a lot of things, so I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm. So, but the thing is just blind, stupid, and I really feel like, you know, I don't know what kind of. I hope there's a little bit of hope for future generations. I hope there's a little bit of hope because we got a couple of generations here in the middle I don't know if it's fucking Z or X, or not X, but Z.
The alphabet generation.
I mean,
millennial. But we got a problem here. There's a skip in the record. There's a fucking skip in the record, and we got a problem. We're going to pay the price for this for the next 100 years, probably, because of what's going on right now. It's going to take a long time to rectify how we have wrecked everything.
No, I get what you're saying. I'll interject for a moment just to defend what you're saying. So, like, 1979, one of my best friends from college, his mother was a nurse, gave birth to him in the West Village because that was the hospital that she worked in. His father parked in front of the hospital. Cop said, "You can't park there. You can't park there." And this is the West Village. So a certain population of people that lived in that area who were part of that lifestyle came out in defense of my friend's mother, saying, "She's about to give birth. Let her go in there. Forget it. We'll pay the ticket." You know, there was that sense of community back then where it's like people would stand up for the right things. Now today, it's like you go on the subway, you see somebody get beat up. You're like, "Oh, let me film this for YouTube views." Right. It's a big difference between people then and people now. So I understand what you're saying.
The morals and the sense of humanity is more about how much, because as wonderful as it is, as this technology, it's a highly addictive drug. And these endorphins that get released when they get likes, the things that get released in your mind, your brain, it's like getting high. And the more likes you get, you're sucking on that tip. You know, you get, it really sucks. Some people really get pulled in badly. And I think it's dismantling society from the inside out because people don't know how to act with each other anymore, you know, and people say really bad things and say violent things because they're emboldened in the safety of this device. You can't touch me. I can't touch you. So, you know what I mean? Like, people, there's keyboard warriors, right? Keyboard warriors. So I don't know, but I hope there's hope. You know, I guess things change. Of course, when you have kids, of course, you become like your parents, right? It's all full circle. We all go through it, and everything that we heard from the old man when we were a kid, now we're going to tell the kids when we're old the same shit. Stay in school. Don't fuck around. Don't do drugs. Don't do this, right? It's full circle. And we're just that dumb kind of animal that just has to go through it all over again. And we just won't learn until we just do it ourselves and learn the hard way. And
I've already told my daughter, I said, one day you'll have kids of your own. And she said, so will you.
Yes. Yes. The problem is if they wanted peace, there'd be peace. Right. If they wanted harmony, there'd be harmony. The thing is that you got so much at play here with agendas and money and power and globalism. And we're just fucking ants. You just got to make the best of it because we're just ants in an ant farm. Pay your fucking taxes, pay this, pay that. Vote for me, you schmuck, and fuck off. Go die. That's it. And pay your death tax. Don't forget about death tax, right? Especially
a lot of tax talk on this show.
In New York. Well, because
somebody get Erwin R. Shyster.
He doesn't know who he is.
Tax is one of my gripes, isn't it? So it's like
that's why you moved to Florida,
right? New York, there's no income tax here, So like my property tax is much more. It makes more sense now, So,
speaking of Florida and Louis, I know Louis also moved to Florida. Have you ran into him at all?
Yeah, he came to my house in January. Yeah,
very cool.
He came up. We had a barbecue together. There's a picture of me and him. There's a couple of pictures of us at our home, and we set up. We had 3 drum sets set up in the studio. My daughter, my youngest, was playing on one of the drums. He played on another kit. I was playing on one, and we were all just having a fun day. We barbecued, and my wife, who's an amazing cook, she cooked up a storm, and we had a nice time. And I got to see him after because he moved down here like 3-4 years ago. So that was very nice. And unfortunately, we were trying to hook up recently, but this is not feasible. But he's like a couple of hours away. So I'll probably see him I would think at least once a year or something, or couple, maybe once or twice. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, he's got his own life. He has grown kids. He's planning on being hopefully a grandpa. They want to be grandparents one day. You know, everyone has their health. Everyone has their worries. Everyone has their concerns, and everyone's getting older. That's the thing. You know, the way people will talk to you on social media, or the way people say things, or the way people imagine things, how they are, is extremely very different than reality a lot of times. Because, hey, we're not those same people that we were in those records and on those shows or back in the day. We've gotten older. We've got health things going on. We got kids or families. We got maybe children that are getting married, or, you know, we've got so much craziness going on. That's life like everybody else. Sometimes people forget that we're people, and we're doing the same thing just like you. You know, we're trying to pay, you know, get the bills paid, get the kids to school. You know, my kids, this is new for us. My kids started school a week ago, and it's different from New York. They start in September. Here they start in August. So that was a little bit of a jump. So, you know, life is complicated. I get messages all the time. Like sometimes people want me to do some unrealistic things, or want me to do, or give me an unrealistic deadline or date or time. And I'm like, listen, I'm not up at fucking 2 a.m. to do your fucking podcast. I'm sorry. I'm like fucking, I'm like old man Gizzard over here.
I'm surprised you're not in bed yet now. I mean, how old are you?
I would.
Wayne, don't kick him off.
I would. I just turned 53. I'd be sitting right now. I'd be sitting in the study right now, right by, like in the chair, like just nodding off or something, or in the living room watching TV, nodding off. And
it's sad, man. When you get old, man, you just sit anywhere and you just automatically fall asleep. It happens to me all the time.
Hey, I don't mind. Naps are some of the best fucking things ever.
They are. Just hope that you wake up, in a reasonable amount of time.
Listen, you know what it is too? You also get wiser that when you go running around like a jackass blowing your money left and right, that you'd have a lot more fucking money if you didn't always do that. You know what I mean? So when you're older, you're a little bit smarter, where you're like, is it really worth going out? Fuck it. I'm going to stay home and watch TV, save the money. You know, whatever it is. But not only that, but when you got kids, that changes everything.
Oh,
really.
Yeah,
Before I had kids, me and my wife, we went everywhere. We went to shows and stuff, but once the kids come in the picture, it changes the ball game, and now you got to play grown up, and that is a tremendous responsibility to do it the right, not the right way, but the best you can for them. Still takes a lot of work. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they got all their stuff. Like my son, he's in like all this learning class he's got to take now because he's not so great at math. So we put him into the learning class, but then he's got swim class.
Way to dry snitch on your son.
Yeah, you got to pick him up, and then there's maybe prep class or this class. Yeah, there's a lot of running around, and people don't like. Everyone's like, when are you going to go on tour? When am I going to see you come to Netherlands? Or when am I going to see? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ! You know, the last time I toured was before the pandemic in 2019. I did 4 tours. And that was the end. That was it. Because after that, we got shut down. And I'll tell you right now, look, if you got guys from Anthrax and Devin Townsend, all these people, Danny Filth from Cradle, all saying how hard it is to make a fucking buck on the road. Because it's true. They're not lying. These guys are not making it up. Look.
Right.
No, the logistics don't make sense.
The logistics and what they expect from you to do on these routing sheets, sometimes to knock out 500 miles between shows or 400 miles, the amount of what the diesel costs, even if you're in a Sprinter van, it's still going to cost so much money. And then you got these fucking places crying they're broke also as an excuse from the pandemic. They can't pay too much, but they want to take 30% of your merch or 25%. You got a lot of people complaining about that, but this has been going on forever. Look, I paid 30% on merch when I was on tour with Danzig in 2013. That's standard when you're on a big tour. But now, from what I understand, even the small guys want to try to push for 30%. I mean, that's fucking nuts. You're lucky if you make 50 cents on a fucking t-shirt then, you know? And so then they don't want to pay you. Then they don't want to give you food. They don't want to help you. They don't want to give you parking. And then you got the fuel in the hotels. It is and it seems like, in a way, like the way music is, sometimes it seems like rock is dying again, like it did in the late 70s for a minute with disco. The way music is with the pop culture and all the things that are going on now. I mean, there's not really anything new that has. I mean, I'm not always looking for something new, but I know when there's something new. Like if nothing catches my ear anymore, not many bands. It's very.
It is. It seems like it's very hard to find like new bands to get into.
Guys like these amazing artists that keep passing away. They're all from our generation that have passed away one by one, right? That have gone. People that have left us, like Bowie, Prince, or Lemmy, or Neil Peart. Show me in this young generation of these fucktards on TikTok, who the fuck is the next Sammy Davis Jr.? Who the fuck is the next Dean Martin? Who's the next fucking Frank Sinatra? Who's the next David Bowie? Who's the next Mick Jagger? These fucking boys look like girls on stage. They got no fucking nothing to them. It's just like there's no real icons or idols. And you know what? How do these people get big? By talking about filth, by talking about disgusting things. I mean, everybody likes a little this and a little that and a little shake a booty. But you don't have to be putting it always in your lyrics and be super gross about it. Doesn't mean you don't. You can like the opposite sex and still have a little bit of class and still get what you want, which is a little bit of something, I guess, right? A little intimacy. But to write these songs about this kind of gross shit and be vulgar and put maybe offensive, or this is my problem. See, women still get treated like shit. Okay? That's my problem. Women get treated like shit. They've been fighting for rights for thousands of fucking years. And then here comes along a little bunch of chihuahuas, okay? The alphabet chihuahuas. Go ahead, shut me down, bitches. And
it's free speech, people.
People are cowering down to fucking 3%. Cut it out already. But women are getting treated like shit still to this day. That's not cool. I'm the father of 3 girls, so I'll fucking stand up for that shit.
Yeah, definitely. But you did work on a new band, Die Humane, because that's a new band that's out, and they got some pretty cool songs, and it's actually Rick.
Let's call it a project.
It's a project, okay.
Band never played a show. It was all studio work. It was all. I really didn't have we didn't get together. We did a photo shoot, we did a video shoot. We couldn't. It was not feasible. I had COVID when I got this message, and when I checked out the songs, they were very interesting, and I liked, especially the song "Oblivion." I liked it a lot, and I heard things instantly what could be done, and so I gave it my honest approach to the whole thing. But as far as the logistics, getting things together, it never really happened. I'm in a different place head-wise. I'm contemplating over what's next. To be honest with you, I'm thinking about, I just started today. I started a new page called Sal's Meat Grinder.
Oh, yes, I saw that, yeah.
And I want to learn how to do what you guys are doing. I want to talk about all kinds of shit. I want to do like the Cal Burnett variety show. I just, anything goes. It's not about being political. It's not about right wing, left wing, nothing bullshit, because honestly, no one's doing anything for anyone anymore. It all sucks. You got people going to jail for fucking nothing, and they want to put people in jail for nothing. And nobody's doing nothing because this whole thing is so. I want to talk about it. Just how I'm having this conversation with you. It'd be nice to but I finally started, I've kept a lot of things bottled up. So I was always worried about, because it would be like I'd be working on a new record or something. So you have you don't want to have drama. You don't want to talk about drama. So things were happening to me and things were being done or things were being said about me. And I was just kind of taking it because I was like, if I shoot my mouth off, they're going to right away come after me because things were really heightened, years ago. As far as this whole, see, right now is a good time. It's like the harvest moon is coming. This backlash. People around the country are kind of getting fed up. They're seeing through the bullshit. Enough of this.
Right.
Enough with this. Why don't we just stop labeling people already? Why don't we just stop giving everything a name? Because if we would just stop doing that, things would get a lot better. But the problem is organizations that claim that they are for democracy are actually the antagonists causing all this division as well.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no unity. It's all bullshit.
Right.
It's all bullshit. Been seeing this shit. It's the same thing over and over. It's the same over and over in New York. Nothing gets done. Nothing gets better. It's all us. It's all this people's fault. These people want this. They want their shit because of these people are bad. It's always like, it just, come on.
When you hear somebody keep saying the word democracy and keep driving it down your throats every 5 minutes, there's something.
It's a key word.
Right, that's it.
It's a buzzword.
There's a few keywords. There's a few keywords because let's face it, white supremacy is a fucking keyword too. Everything's white supremacy. We have a white supremacy
21st century.
Yeah. We have a white supremacy problem in this country. Are you kidding me? Really? I swear, man. Come on, man. I toured this country. I never seen that shit. I think I saw one Confederate flag once in my life. And so what? That's their right. Whatever. Shut the fuck up. I mean, that's people's right. If they want to fucking fly a banner, fine. Leave me alone. Whatever banner it is, I don't care.
I went to high school across the street from the projects, and we all got along. So
right, I went to a Brooklyn high school that was right there in an area that was heavily mixed. Whatever, and it was what it was. Everyone just minded their own fucking business. Watch yourself. Don't shoot your mouth off. And if you shot your mouth off, you better back it up. And that's that. But now everyone gets upset, and now. You know what it is? This has become a situation where there's like a totalitarianism and there's people that are big fans of sweating these communist governments. There's people that really, really want to emulate that. They want that power. They want to control people in this country to the point where they could tell you have to stay locked in your house or you will be killed, and we're going to kill your pets, just like they do in fucking China, right? When they have the outbreaks, they lock everybody in their fucking houses and slip food through a slot. This is fucking bullshit. Whoever's accountable doesn't get held accountable. Whoever's fucking really trying to fight for the right thing is persecuted. And, every society, every generation, every millennium needs a fucking martyr. Everyone needs a patsy. And from any level, government to family, everyone needs a patsy, a martyr, or somebody to displace all the fucking problems on and make them the fucking blame. Oh, him. He's a bad guy, or a bad woman, So this is the society the way it is. So like if you say, I don't like this, I don't believe in it, I'd like to stay on my own little island over here, leave me alone, I'm fine, God bless you, that makes people upset. Right. Because what it is they want you to really eat it. They want you to suck that whole fucking thing down your throat and just take it and accept it, and then let your children be exposed to this kind of atmosphere that is very confusing.
You know what I love about being part of this podcast is the fact that, we have two other friends of ours that host a show with us, Manny and James. They're not on tonight, but there's as important to the show as Wayne and Greg, who started it, and I was the third guy to jump on board. But the thing is, I think most people want to feel like they belong to a community, but before they belong to a community, I think everyone should recognize their value as an individual first. The five of us, you couldn't put five more different types of metal fans together. So you could tell our personalities, but you put the five of us in a room together, in a Zoom room, And like we disagree on stuff. We agree on stuff. We're all having a good time talking about the music that we love. And we don't care about subgenres,
Right.
like I could come out and say, that I love the band Keane, which is a piano driven rock band out of England. And, maybe Wayne will make fun of me for it, but, Greg will be like, hey, that's cool. Wayne and I've known Wayne over 20 years, so we bust each other's chops all the time. But like, that's the thing. We're a part of this little group called Rat Style Review, but the five of us can stand on our own, and the only thing we've always said is, we can have a good time being united by the thing that we all love together, which is music. What we all do in our spare time, that's our business.
Exactly. And that's what's missing. Agree to
Unless
disagree.
you're listening to Sammy Hagar, I got a fucking problem.
We don't listen to Sammy Hagar on this podcast.
What, you mean I can't drive 55?
Don't you dare drive 50.
No, but you know what, Sal? That actually gives me the perfect idea for a man on the street special. I come down there to Florida. I got vacation time to burn anyway. We'll rent a PA. People think they're offended now. We'll go play them my mentor's records.
Oh, no.
Followed by retaliation.
The Mentors, isn't that the 4-H? Yeah, the 4-H song.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. The Mentors.
Yeah, that's a find her, feel her, bleep her.
Fuck her, forget her.
Forget her, yeah.
Golden
And
Showers is such a romantic song.
Classic. Heterosexuals have the right to rock.
Oh, wow.
Colin Man says 3-lock box and bad motor scooter.
What?
3-lock box and bad motor scooter rule, he says, Colin.
The first Montrose album rocks. That's it.
Montrose, yeah.
Van Halen, wings or rings, Sal?
Wings, obviously.
Wings.
What do you mean Van Halen wings or rings?
Yeah,
The wings was the Van Halen logo with Roth. The rings was the Van Halen logo with Hagar.
Oh, no, I'm a Roth guy. I'm
Yay!
All right.
I'm David Lee Roth all the way. Hagar, I mean, he's very talented, but I just couldn't get into him. Hey, they had such a huge success with Hagar. Actually, I think maybe even bigger success with the hits and the radio and the pop songs. But for me, the Raw Dog personality, even though he may have not been always the greatest singer or whatever, but he had such personality, David Lee Roth, and he was so like athletic on stage, and the songs were so great. The drums sounded great. I have for me, it's Van Halen 1 and 2, Dive It Down, Women and Children First, all that stuff is like, that's all the good stuff, Even I remember when Jump came out.
Mm-hmm.
When we were all what the song 1984. The record, right? Was it called 1984? Yeah. Whenever it came out, we were all a little bit like, what the fuck is this with the keyboards? But still, there were still great songs on there, like Half a Teacher, Panama. But we were a little bit already thrown back as the Van Halen sound that we were used to when they came out with 1984. That was already like, you're losing me a little bit. I don't even think I bought that record. I didn't even bother to buy it. And it was just downhill from there. And then like Roth was out and all this bullshit. And I don't know, good for them. It's a shame. Eddie Van Halen, one of the most amazing guitarists in the world. God rest his soul, rest in peace. Old Van Halen, David Lee Roth. There you go. Wings.
Very cool.
Steve Colbrook says, hey, Greg, by the way.
So my question is this. River Runs Red. I mean, well, first of all, I have to say congratulations on one thing. The fact that, 30 years later, we're still talking about 3 iconic albums that came out with you playing on them: Slow, Deep and Hard, Bloody Kisses, and River Runs Red. I mean, that's an awesome accomplishment. Just still be spoken about 30 years later. My question to you is, River Runs Red and Bloody Kisses both came out the same year. Now, were you on loan to Life of Agony from Type O to record drums and help them with touring and stuff?
I was hired as a session guy on the record. That's why I wasn't in the original band shoot that's on the back of the record. I'm on the inside after I ended up in the band. The Bloody Kisses was recorded in March of 93. So we were there the whole time. I think it was February and March. And the Josh was producing and working with Life of Agony. They had something lined up with Roadrunner Records and all that stuff. And they needed to, I don't know, to change some things. And Josh asked me, do you want to play on the new Life of Agony record? I was like, really? I was like, because I kind of looked at them as like a kiddie band. They were like a tag-along band that was opening up for Biohazard and Typo, and I kind of found them annoying at times before I was dealing with them. So I said, okay, well, what are we doing? When is it? Well, we got to record it in May. Okay, well, we're going into fucking April. All right, how many songs? So I ended up, I think it was 3 weeks. It turned out being when he asked me. I think it might have been we were already maybe possibly. We spent all March doing Bloody Kisses. So I had 3 weeks to learn those songs. That's one thing we know for sure. So we had 3 weeks, and Josh can confirm that, to learn through and through, this time my eyes, every song on the record. Working with Josh. Josh was the producer. Josh worked on arrangements with the band. Josh worked on the band's tuning because the band used to be tuned to E. He recommended and asked them and influenced them to tune down to D, which worked with the vocals. He was very tough on the vocals, hence why Keith Computer did not want to work with Josh Silver on the second record, which is what he should have done, because then it would have been a different ball game. But because Josh worked Keith very hard on that first record to hit those notes, that's why he never sang like that ever again. And so that's why then when we did Ugly, it was a little bit laid back. It wasn't, so it was a big difference. So that's how it went down. And I remember going back to System Sue, going back. I think I don't even know if we brought the kit back. We did the same stuff, the setup, everything, because it was in the same studio as we did for Bloody Kisses. We did everything the same because we had this formula, and that's how it happened. And I was still doing one-offs with Typo. They tried playing shows with some drummers. They kept on calling me up, saying that we miss you bullshit. And at the same time, I was getting frustrated with Peter. Peter is as amazing and wonderful and talented as he could be. He also could be very stubborn. He was very, hard to deal with on certain days. And so we would butt heads sometimes because I was like the young punk rebel in the band. And, so we'd lock horns. And that's basically what that was about. So I ended up putting my foot down. I left and went right away, jumped on board with Life of Agony because they had 10 months of touring scheduled. So that's really what it was right away. I jumped in and I was already, then we were doing a tour with Jenna Torturers, and, the record was coming out, or it already came out for them, and it was getting good headway. And it seems like what we did and what Josh did and bringing me into the picture to put my spin on the songs too really made an impact on the industry also as well, and had that sound that was everyone was already chomping at the bit for from Bloody Kisses, because Josh, a lot of his same, he's going to have that influence, that sound that he creates when he records. So that's how it started.
And there was a period where Roadrunner Records, they had Typo, Life of Agony, they had they had Fear Factory, Madball, Both Worlds, which was John Joseph's band after Cro-Mags. There was some killer bands.
It was a wave. There was a wave during that time period. That was huge for them. Huge.
I'm glad to say that I got to see the original lineup in 2005 on Gigantor when you guys went to for Broken Valley. Do you have any good memories of Gigantor? Which was the tour you did with Megan in the Dream Theater?
It was a great tour. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It was a very long, what it was a very long tour. It was 9 weeks and 3 days. I remember leaving like on a date in June, and I came back like in September. It was 9 weeks. It was like the end. Yeah, I left at the end of June, came back in the beginning of September. Basically, it was long, and so I think that wore people out. That definitely by the end of that tour, I think we were all ready for a break. But I enjoyed touring with. I think Dave Mustaine's a sweetheart, nice guy. I used to see him at night. He used to knock on our bus and stop by and stuff. He was always very nice. I used to feel bad, like. Even to this day, like people fucking break his balls, about stuff, whatever it is, this Metallica business. And I thought he was a nice guy. He was very cordial with us.
I met him one time at Megadeth was in town. He was at a pizza place down the Jersey Shore with his wife. Just shook his hand, talked to him a couple minutes. Real super fucking nice guy. You just got to approach him in the right way. You come up and show your ass. Of course, he's not going to like it.
Hey, look. This happens to everybody. Happened to me. Okay, it happened to me. People run on a tear and say shit about people when they don't even know the fucking person. Okay, that's the bottom line. Nobody knew what it was like to be, or what was really going on inside those four walls in Dave Mustaine's shoes and James Hetfield's shoes. Like what really went on in those rooms, nobody knows. Just like when I say, like, what the baggage that was going on between me and the members of bands I was in, nobody really knows. You little fan groups and your fucking group pages, they think they know the fucking bands inside out, all this stupid shit. It's like, go fucking get a job or something and move out of your mother's house. Because the thing is that it's just a load of fucking it's bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. Nobody knows people, and they talk so much shit on the internet, and everyone just goes on a tear. And people say things not realizing that you can literally destroy. Number one, you could destroy someone's life. You can destroy someone's career, and you can actually push someone over the edge to commit suicide, which is a very big epidemic with young kids. Okay, so. This is wrong. What's going on? Cancel culture is wrong. What's going on in general is just wrong. What they feel that if someone is different, or if someone believes in something, they're not doing anything malicious to you. They just have different beliefs. That's it. Yeah. They're not putting a gun to your face. They're not attacking you. This is the problem. But they attack you if you don't agree. And they destroy you. And all it takes is a nut job that has a lot of followers to make a post, to make a tweet about a person. And those followers are basically hypnotized, like, they're going to follow whatever, they believe whatever that person says, like they're the fucking second coming. And then all of a sudden, it goes from, around the world in milliseconds, one mouth to the other, and you've got an epidemic of some false fucking shit going around. And there's a lot of that going on right now. There's a lot of people losing their fucking shit over this crap, and it's bullshit. It's not right. It's wrong. And it's
I was just watching. Yeah, I was just watching something this morning. A parent went to a school meeting or whatever, and she did not agree with what the school was going to do in certain classes or whatever. And then all these people found out. She got fired from her job and just like lost her entire life just because she didn't agree with what the school was doing. It's like, well,
the schools want to take the rights of the parents away. The schools want to mold your children and make them into these little fucking robot rubber heads, fucking with their fucking iPads and phones. And that's it. They want to control your kids. They don't want, that's why they have these problems around the country, like with this story you just said, right? This is going on everywhere in those certain states. It doesn't happen down here where I am now. That's why I'm down here, because that's bullshit. The parents you sacrifice everything to raise that child, and you're giving up everything. and that child is your blood, and you love that child, this school has no fucking right to tell you what that kid should be learning.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I live where I live on Long Island. The school district that my daughter's going into kindergarten is one of the best ones. So at least I know that, she'll be in a good spot. But if the school, and my wife and I already spoke about this, starts doing stuff that we disagree with, we'll pull her out and put her in parochial school. I'd rather do that because, I think that.
And that's your free choice.
Yeah. And like, look, I mean, it's just, everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to live the way they want, as long as they're not hurting other people.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, I don't even like it when people say those 3 words, you have to. I mean, there's still a rebellious streak in me, and I'm pretty sure that there's a rebellious streak in a lot of people. So,
well, the pandemic really kicked it off, right, with the vaccine. I mean, that mandate. I mean, that was something else. So, that's a whole nother 3-hour conversation, dude.
Yeah, no.
Forget about that. Let's not even get started on the pandemic. Cool.
You're gonna get a shadow banned on YouTube now. Thanks.
Oh God. No.
Yeah, that's the problem. See what I mean? We can't even crack a joke or say nothing because you're gonna get shadow banned on YouTube because they.
Wait, we're not monetized yet. Who cares?
Dude, we're getting there. We're getting there.
This is it's crazy what's going on. This is all they're gonna read about this in the history books like fucking 100, 200 years from now. Either they're gonna be laughing at us or they're gonna be dead, one or the other, because we're gonna go extinct. We're fucking stupid. We're turning so stupid. The more all this stuff that's going on is now. I hope we turn around. I hope things turn around. I wish the country. It's a shame the division that has really escalated in the last
2
years.
Yeah.
Whatever, starting with the big T, starting in 2016, this shit started getting off the hook crazy. And I wish we would not be so divided. We're supposed to be the United States of America, but, we really should change the name and just call ourselves the divided states of America, because really that's what's happened. I mean, you got the people, the exodus happening from New York, Illinois, California, New Jersey. They're all moving to Tennessee, Carolinas, Floridas, Texas. It's like what's next? Is it going to be? Are we just going back in time? Do we really need to have like a civil war? I mean, is that next? Because
no, let's hope not.
I'm right, but it's just. The thing is that, right, there won't be a civil war. They just destroy people's careers and lives, and people will just exterminate themselves out of the pure grief of depression and losing their whole livelihood.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all survivors in some way or another, so we'll continue to fight. But I will say this: I just came back from the Catskill Mountains yesterday. I thought I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I was like, this is not the New York I grew up in. I kind of like it here, but there's nothing up there except for ski resorts and golf
and a Home
resorts.
Depot. I think there's a Home Depot.
I did not see one Home Depot in the Catskills. Not
it
one.
was where I went.
Nice. I lived at the foothills. I was in Orange County, so I know it's beautiful up there. New York's a beautiful state. It's a shame that they let certain parts of it get run down, and they're not fixing what they're supposed to fix, and the roads, and it's a beautiful state, though, hands down. And there's things about it I miss. I'm a New Yorker through and through, always, till the day I die.
One of the best things about living on Long Island: no city bikes.
Oh, the Citibank bikes, you mean, like those?
Yeah,
you have a lot of those now over there.
You can't park in Astoria anymore. Not that you ever could, but now it's even more, harder there.
They have these bike racks everywhere. They figure that's how they keep people. This is nuts. Yeah, that's nuts what they're doing. See, that's why it's really, how do you live there, pay all that money, and deal with all that stuff? And it's just they make it really hard. It's not fair to the true blue original native New Yorkers. It's not fair. It's not fair for the generations that have been there, like for the hipsters that are moving there from Ohio. Okay, whatever. Pay your $4,000 a month to live in Williamsburg. But for the generations that have been there, and it keeps on getting harder and harder, and the values are changing, and the culture's changing, and it's a shame what happened to it, because it is a great place. It's, if you can make it there, you make it anywhere, like Frank Sinatra says, So.
Yeah. What's even sad though is for like music scenes, like, we were talking about logistics and things like that before. I mean, like back in, the 80s, 90s, you had Lemoore in Brooklyn, Lemoore East in Queens, you had Lemoore Far East and Sundance out in Long Island. You had CBGB in the city. Now in Brooklyn, there's only like 2 venues where you can actually play. One's Lucky 13. The other place is St. Vitus. Out here on Long Island, the one place that was doing metal shows got shut down during the pandemic, became a Korean church, and then that shut down. So it's hard. I mean, like, Wayne and I are in a band together as well, and we're like, well, we'd love to do a show so people could see us play. The question is where.
They're making it impossible. Look, I'd hate to be a kid right now trying to do something in this line of business, because it's in the old days, like you said, there was a lot of venues. You could literally stay in New York and on Long Island and play like every weekend somewhere different, and it was, same thing in Brooklyn. We had so many venues and places to play on. There was places on Flatbush Avenue, 718 Club and Lion's Den and things. And now where I know. You know what they do? These kids, they sit on the fucking TikTok and make videos of themselves playing fucking covers. It's like, that's all they got now. It's like, it's different now. And it's because of, I guess, I don't know. How can you afford to open? You got to be nuts to even try to want to open up a venue or a business, period.
Any business.
The way things are now, you got to be a real hustler. It's risky business, because brick and mortar businesses are a thing of the past. You got the Walmarts and Amazons that have taken over. And why leave your house when you can just have it next day shipped from Amazon? I do it. Everyone does it. We're all guilty of it. You just find that thing that you need, and you're like, "Fuck, it could be here tomorrow." All right, fucking $9.99. There you go. Boom. How do you compete with that?
I know
it's
the
days of the old of that dream. The American dream is dead. I'm going to open up a business one day. I'm going to open up a shop, or you're going to open up a store and sell something that No, you can't have that dream anymore. You just got to be a cocksucker working for some company. That's it. Be a robot. Shut up. Shut up. They don't want no self-made man. That's why they're anti-capitalism. No self-made. You can't be self-made.
Yeah, that's a shame, because like one of the guys on my route that I where I work, he opened his own business maybe about 2-3 years ago or whatever, and I talk to him every day, but he's just like, he doesn't know if he's going to last much longer, because he's not making any business. He's selling more stuff online than he is people walking in his store. So what is he paying the rent for?
Yes, you're paying rent, and you got to have insurance. You got to have your sales tax.
You're spending more money than you're bringing in. So it's
and then when you close a business, you got your fucking bank account's almost empty, and your wife wants to fucking leave you. And that's it, right?
That's right.
That's the American dream now.
Well, you've been on the show for a long time, but we had you on for a specific reason, because you wrote a thing on Facebook.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's get into that. All right. But before we get into that, though, were you with Life of Agony when Whitfield Crane was with the band?
No, he wasn't. That was John Fataroso, I believe. Who?
Dan.
Sorry,
Richardson.
Right. Dan
Richardson, guitarist.
And because the 3 of them formed Stereo Mud when Life of Agony broke up.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Forget that then. I'll edit that out.
How are you gonna edit it out? It's live.
Anyways,
continue.
Bad joke. All right.
Yeah. You just roll with it when it's live. You just make
exactly. That's why I do the show live. I hate editing, so just
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead. Talk about.
I don't know. What's the question? You want to ask me a question, or you want? I mean, I ranted a lot.
You did, but what you were talking about on Facebook yesterday about Life of Agony.
I had to be quiet for 6 years. I stayed quiet. I thought, like, you know, I don't have a problem with not, you know, we separated for valid reasons. It really ended up being mutual, I'll say, in the end. I had a lot of complications in 2017, and I think we were hindering their midlife crisis of wanting to be on the road all the time and make less money. I remember, you know, my last show with them was in Irvine, California, and I even remember we were at a diner and they tried pulling like a fast one on me, like, you know, will you go in a van and do, like, you know, all these like smaller shows, as far as not I don't have a problem with the van, but it was doing small shows for less money. And I was just like, that makes no sense. Why don't we cherry pick and compress all the good stuff? Why do we just have to stay out there for the sake of staying out there? There's no new record. Well, there was a new record at the time. Yeah, it was a place where there's no more pain. But we were doing.
You had a lot to do with, right? You pretty much did that whole album.
I brought Matt Brown in to engineer and produce. I sat there and wrote. I have a hard drive that has all those songs on it with me playing guitar. You know, so like I wrote. I was on a roll because it was after not long after like the whole big Lay My Soul to Waste run. APH&D, so I was on the road a lot with that record, and I was having a prolific phase in my life with dropping music. I like writing music. I like coming up with ideas. I like making things come together and come out of nothing. You have something. So I did a lot. I rolled and just wrote. But we were starting to hit a couple of hiccups. But I also started sensing a little bit of. I should have seen it. Hindsight's 2020. I should have seen it because it was a similar scenario on Ugly. On Ugly, I did a lot of writing. You can see if you look at every song on the writing credits, after every song, whose names, and you'll see it's my name and Alan's name for like every song, basically for the music. And some people, I think, started getting maybe a little resentful. Even though my talent was in the goodness of my offerings were in the goodness of helping the band progress and keep going in the direction that we needed to do, and we needed to make a record, we needed to make some money, we needed to, you know, make things happen. We couldn't just sit around in a room staring at each other playing third grade riffs. So I'm always a go-getter. And like I said, I was on a roll. I was like boom, boom. I was like, and they kept on liking, like you know, the other members of the band, like most of the members. We're all liking everything, like they were going ahead with it, like we love it, keep doing what you're doing, so that's how that record went. I had Matt involved, and who was at that time, he was my partner. We were in A Pale Horse Named Death together, and we did a lot of work together on the first two records. So he was also not only the guitarist, but my partner, my friend, my production team with me, and so that was it. And I think I had a lot going on. I remember, like, I did Whackin'. I played some big festivals with Pale Horse. And, people just get a little bit insecure or maybe intimidated. And I have my prolific moments where I can just keep writing and just keep going, like just melodies and lyrics, things just falling out of the sky. You got to be in the right mood though for it. It's got to be a beautiful moment where it's not like a switch. You can't just say, "Well, today we're going to write a song." It just happens, but it's always happening at the worst time when I can't, sometimes record things and I got to talk into the phone or hum something.
Yeah.
So that's the deal with that. So what we're going to do is for the sake of keeping things respectful, because I'm trying. Like you said, you got to worry about people. I'm not going to say too much on names. We're just going to know. We know who's who, and we know who's the motherfuckers, right? We know who the motherfuckers are. It's motherfuckers. So I don't want to say names a lot, but that was the deal. But 2017, the disintegration began where I started having a lot of personal problems. That was the year where, number one, I had to quit smoking, quit cold turkey. I was told I possibly had leukemia. Started doing a lot of tests. We started going through a lot of stuff. And already emotionally, I'm just like, well, okay. So it turns out I ended up, having a pre-myeloma condition, which I still have. It's called monoclonal gammopathy. It's a plasma condition. There's an irregularity in the blood. So I was dealing with that. I also have that year a disabled child, my daughter Josephine. That year I left twice. Right after the release of the record, I left twice. I was at the airport. I left twice on tour while my daughter had serious surgeries. We're talking about corneal transplants. We're talking about bilateral osteotomies, which is we cut the femurs and reposition the bones, how they go into the hip. So this is some heavy adult stuff.
Right.
My priority was not to be part of some fucking circus. I had serious shit going on. And top it off, my wife was also pregnant with our third daughter that was due in November. So I had my hands full. The previous year, I had broken my clavicle 2 days before tour. These guys were already mad, I guess, because, some people spend their money before they fucking make it, and I happened to be playing some soccer with my daughter. I fell. I broke my clavicle 2 days before tour. What can I say? It was an accident. It sucked. It cost me money too. We all lost money. Yeah. But I ended up finding out these guys were already fishing around, trying to call people around behind my back. So, okay, fine. Whatever. No problem. Year goes by. I'm still working on a record. This is 2016. I'm still doing all this dumb shit, working. So now 2017, all this stuff's going out, and now we're approaching like the release of the record in May. And, I knew I was friends with Keith. I knew Keith for many, many years. We had a lot of good times. We had a lot of wonderful conversations. We were friends, amazing energy on stage. Me and him were the connection that we had on stage really emanated together out there. And I think that was part of the formula with the fans that they're missing now. And I don't fucking give a fuck. I think anyone's a hypocrite that says that they wouldn't have been thrown off their game a little bit or shocked to see someone that they were friends with for like 20 something years. And you want to be supportive and you want to be that person and you want to be cutting edge and progressive and all this dumb fucking shit that they're ramming in our throats right now. I tried. And at first it started out nice, classy, nothing over the top. And then, that was right before that was the summer prior, things were that when we first got together, we did some festivals. That year I did Whack, and it was in the summer of 2014, right? So she was dressing a little bit more, like kind of like cool, right? 70s, whatever, but with a little feminine touch.
Yeah.
But after all that time, and she was gone for a while, and we did the record, and then it was time to like come out brand new. We had shows lined up at Irving Plaza for the opening night, release night of this big, heavily anticipated record, A Place Where There's No More Pain. I guess she had some augmentation done, some work done, and shows up, and next thing you know, like I said, kind of glad I didn't invite my parents to that show, because all of a sudden, boom, in my face, I got like, the very large hole fishnet type of top that has like, with no bra. Okay.
Right.
That's
okay. Jeez.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Jumping on the stage, jumping on a drum riser, and I'm like, great. Listen, I'm like every American blooded guy. I like boobies. I like tits, but it was weird and it wasn't right and it didn't feel right for me. And I was trying to be as supportive and loving as possible, but that wasn't really the problem. It wasn't even after a while. The problem was I started feeling like the band wasn't about the rock and roll. It wasn't about the music. It wasn't even about the record. Every interview was about this transition.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We were just a movement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what about the music? What about the rest of us? But wait a minute, man. We all got families. This really rough. This is all. And you know, I started getting fed up with it, and I started having a lot of problems. And these people, I started noticing that they were going through a midlife crisis. They wanted to fucking do this shit full time, make no money, stay out there because their kids were a little older and grown up. They wanted to maybe get away from home, not work, and not do anything. And I had all these serious things going on. And then the last thing they wanted to hear was, I'm having another baby. You know, I'm having my third kid. My wife's pregnant. This was something me and my wife wanted because we wanted to have a younger sibling for our daughter that is in the middle. She's in the middle of the three, is disabled. We figured, you know, one day we're dead, you know, instead of being the burden to one, maybe someone else could keep an eye once in a while. Anyway, looking into the future. So that was the reasoning with all of that. And it was a very tough year, and we were sacrificing, and I was going through all this stuff. And I just but yet all this person did was talk about themselves and talk about me, and living with someone who's doing shots for this kind of stuff, the hormonal shots, really makes them nuts. Mm-hmm. And every day was like a mystery when you're waiting in the van for the person to come out of the hotel, and you don't know if they're going to fucking like lose their shit or break down crying, because that's how it was, or they would kiss you hello. And that was starting to get to me. And just these things were starting to mess. I was just basically, it wasn't that I didn't like playing drums anymore. They accused me of that. She accused me in an email saying, you don't even like to play drums. I was like, no, it's not that. It's just that I've been unhappy. I've just been unhappy. I've had a lot of bad things happening. Why are you pushing me? We want to have a meeting with you. We already knew. Like that summer of 2017, I was also trying to get hooked up with a band called Triptychon that was looking for a drummer over in Europe. I know a few of them, and I had the agent trying to contact the management. There was a little bit of dialogue back and forth.
That's Tom Warrior's band after Celtic Cross.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to really. I knew it would have been a challenge, but I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring, and maybe they caught wind of that was going on, but I don't know how that would have affected things anyway, because that wouldn't have been the reason I left anyway. The reason I couldn't take it no more was my back was against the wall. I kind of had enough with the fact that, see, I wasn't always sure if people were like, you know, bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual, but I started realizing that maybe this person experimented once or twice or three times, but this person is clearly a heterosexual. And so, okay, fine. All right, we'll try to roll with it. Okay, I would just roll with it, right? That's how it went. Okay, all right. Show up for, you know, some fucking outrageous mood or outfit or whatever. Okay, great. Trying to work, trying to make a living, trying to fucking get through this shit. Maybe this is just a phase. So I remember I was in England for 2 weeks in September with them. Real dark mood. I really was, you know, my mind was at home. My wife was having a lot of problems with our daughter, a lot of surgeries. I felt like a piece of shit. I felt guilty because I was over there. And I just, they were basically faking to understand what I was going through versus someone, you know me for how many years?
Right.
You should know my mood, why I'm like this. My kids, my wife, everyone's important to me, but the situation going on is bothering me too much. I can't just hang out and party and be, yay, we're on tour, whoop-de-doo, you know, let's hang out with fans at the merch booth. Yeah, I always gave fans time of the day, and I would put on a little bit of an act, but, you know, we would, I'd be a little bit like in a mood. I don't know if I'm going to be worried about calling home. It was a 6-hour difference. When can I call home and see how things are going? You know,
right.
That's what was going on. So what it was a fork in the road, right? So fork in the road. I already was like, I don't know how long this is going to work. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long I'm going to last. And we go to Irvine California to do NotFest. And it was a one-off show, flying out. And, this is when things are really heightened. This is November 2017, a year after the election. So things are really, ramped up. Fucking, you couldn't even say you voted for this one or that one because forget about it,
Right.
And that's what was going on at the airport. I remember sitting there, and hormone head over there starts going into some rhetoric about, trans people being banned in the military and all this shit. And I'm like, well, listen. Problem is that it's not that it's the trans people, it's just that you got a lot of people joining the military to take advantage of the being on the program and getting the exploiting the free medication, which is very, very expensive to do this hormonal transition, right? Transition was very expensive. I said, so that's one thing that's wrong. The other thing is do they really, is it really, are they prepared for war? I don't know. If they are, great, but I think a lot of it has to do with this scamming that's going on, and with the money that the government gets stuck with the bill to transition you to be a female soldier.
Right.
That's what it is. There's a fucking racket. I think that's what it was about. But they went down on with this whole tear about maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm ignorant, but I think that's what it's about, if I recall. So, okay, whatever. So we're sitting there at the fucking gate. I got to take a piss. This person said, oh, okay, you got to take a piss. I'm watching the person walking slow, looking around like this. Goes inside the women's bathroom. All right, great. I guess she want to fucking think she's a fucking woman. Was she standing? I'm thinking, what is she standing there pissing or is she sitting? What's she doing? She's in the fucking women's room. Okay. Great. This is great. Okay, no problem. The problem is, though, I started realizing, but you like fucking girls. So how is this cool? So I'm a dad at that time of 2 girls. I'm very protective of my wife as well. I'm just I'm a fucking nut job. That's all. I just like to protect my tribe. And whatever. Okay, I'm like, man, fuck. If my kid was in that bathroom or my wife was in that bathroom and I knew he walked in there, I'd be pissed. I'd say something when I walk out. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing in there? Because the thing is all right, for every innocent person that really identifies as trans, you have a lot of people using this as an excuse for predation, sexual misconduct, and lewd acts, and saying, I need to use the locker room. I need to use the restroom. I'm a fucking woman. Look, I got my period comes out of my ass. And then your daughter or your wife or your granddaughter or somebody is using a locker room in the gym and you got this person that identifies. Hey, listen, I identify as the Pope. I'm going to go in the Vatican and I'm going to play with all the fucking gold crosses. You okay with that, motherfuckers?
Yeah.
Same.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to use the ladies' room now, right? Can I use the ladies' room now? Because I got titties now. I mean, it's fucking wrong. And so now I got a problem. I realized, wait a minute. I got a problem with if you're a dude that dresses like a woman and likes to have sex with women and likes to use the women's restroom and likes to use the women's locker room and likes to use the women's gymnasium and likes to, then I get there's something wrong with that picture. Now I think it becomes predatory. It becomes wrong. It goes against the grain. And that's all I ever said, really. That's all I ever. Right?
You're
That's
perfectly
all
entitled to feel that way.
That's all I ever said. So now, I end up being in a catering hall at Backstage Not Fest, and we walk in. We just got there. We're starving. It's fucking hot. It's fucking California. What do you do? And catering. So there's, of course, we sit down, and all of a sudden, said person starts like, oogling at this like girl that could have been even maybe a minor, like 17, that was working in the catering, that had like leather pants on, long blonde hair. I remember specifically. Long blonde hair, cute girl, white tank top, athletic physique. Oh man, I wonder if she wants to be with a lesbian. Oh, what I do to her. We're sitting at the table, lunchtime. What I do to her. Oh, and making all these sounds and these fucking grunts. And she's like clearly noticing like how she obviously was becoming uncomfortable. She's walking around, this girl, cleaning fucking tables for fucking scumbag rock stars. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like this girl's just doing either a job or working for her father that has a catering company, and just is excited to be there and has, a rock and roll outfit on. And something snapped in me in my head, and I just said, I had enough of this. I mean, I loved you like a brother, but this is going too far for me. This is out of control. Why don't you just stay a man and go out with women and do it the right way? If that's, but you want to be this being and you want to do it like that, and I get it. Everyone has their sexual kinks. I know. I lived in the Village for 5 years. I lived right by the Meat District and Christopher Street. I saw the most craziest shit in the 90s when I lived there. And I get it. Everyone wants to hang from fucking ceilings with fish hooks in their backs. Okay, fine. But when you involve other people and you're in a business together with other people and you're in a career with other people and you have no choice but to like be always ingesting this type of situation, it's going to wear you down. Yeah. That's it. I got worn down because every interview and I saw even like the type of journalists started changing and the type of fans were changing that were coming. And I'm like, okay, great. You like the band too? Fantastic. I don't got a problem with that. But this is changing in a way that and I said it. I told them. I say, you want to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and that's really, you people can't make it more obvious that you tried to ride a wave and you thought you were going to be this big fucking thing with a transgender icon vocalist. Well, guess what? What is that person doing now? Right. Constantly spewing out anti-trans rhetoric. How does this make sense? Please tell me. Someone look at her profile. Look at her profile on Twitter or Instagram. She is right now spewing out. How is this okay? Spewing out anti-trans rhetoric, going off on people like Dylan Mulvaney, because this guy, he tried to become successful as a man, they say, but he changed and did all this spiel and found his way to get successful like the way he did, right? Well, guess what? You are criticizing the very same person that you are fucking fucktard because you're that person. They jumped on that bandwagon, and as soon as Sal showed the little bit slightest difference of opinion, like, this is like a fucking 3-ring circus. What are we doing? They chose the safe choice at that time. They chose the safe choice in 2017 when everyone was anti, and we had George Floyd. Well, no, not George Floyd. My God, no, that was 2020. We just had this, everyone raging and parading against the orange man, right? Everyone was mad at, oh, you voted for Trump, then I'm not going to go to your Thanksgiving anymore. There was all that kind of stuff, dumb stuff going on, right? Yeah. And it's finally a little bit wearing away, a little bit. But that was it. That was it. And then it was push comes to shove. That was literally like November 11th or the 17th, right? And then boom, it was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Eve, the night of Thanksgiving, my wife went into labor. And my daughter was born on the 24th of November. And then these guys started hitting me with these stupid emails. We want, we're not happy. We're not this. We don't think you like doing this anymore. And all this. And I'm like, listen, guys, I got a 4-day-old baby. What is it? What the fuck, man? Right now, really? Well, we need you to set us free. We need you to, have a little compassion for us, And then the other person tells me, oh, you bullied us. I'm like, I bullied you? What do you mean I bullied you? You mean when I would tell you something wasn't good enough, or if I tell you maybe a song wasn't good enough, or a riff, or a shirt? Well, that's just me striving for the best. So whatever, I bullied you. No, I'm sorry I bullied you. Why? They just really jumped on that snowflake cocoa train. And I was like, you know what? I already was going to fucking say something, but I wasn't going to do it like this 4 days after my kid was born. But fine, fuck you. I'm out. And I left. And I ended it like that on the email. And then I fucking said, because they did a haphazard situation with me in the 90s too, where they went behind my back. They never had the courage to talk to me face to face. They were like, we wanted you to come down to the city. I'm like, motherfuckers, it's November. I just had a baby and I live in upstate New York. I can't drive to the city for dinner, drive 2 hours from upstate New York in the freezing cold and come see you for dinner so we can have a discussion. Why can't we have a phone conference? Or why can't we? And it just got real stupid, real retarded.
Yeah, it seems like they just set you up for those situations,
Oh, absolutely. Come on. Like, I'm a slow mover. I was contemplating. I was planning. I was like, I wanted to put my feelers out there. I was thinking about doing another APH&D record. I was like, maybe I'll go back to doing my own thing. If this isn't worth it, the money's not worth it. I feel like a fool up here. I mean, I really started feeling like a fool after a while, because I was like, these people, I don't know where they came from, but they don't know the rest of the band. They're just part of this fucking parade. That's it. And I'm not part of the parade. But what happened was though, that's fine. Splitting up, that's fine. Sometimes a bad marriage, you divorce, you get married again, you realize it was still a mistake, you divorce again. That's what happened with that band. Splitting up was the right thing to do, because enough was enough. And I sacrificed enough for that band. But literally, if it wasn't for a fan contacting me, October of 2018, this nut job must have been like wacky on medicine, puts a tweet on Twitter. And person contacts me on Messenger, says, Sal, so-and-so from, Life of Agony wrote some real bad things about you on Twitter, and you need to see it. And they did an image capture. And my jaw hit the fucking table, because at that time, this fucking person had over 30,000 followers. And so she wrote, poor Sal, he was kicked out of Life of Agony twice, blah, blah, blah. Just like really, really spun it. He is a transphobe. He's against trans in the military. He's a homophobe. While I talk, let me pull it up so you know I'm not lying, because I save shit. They called me right away when that went out. The agent called me right away. Mina wants to apologize, and said, apologize? Fuck you. I could take legal action. You guys better shut the fuck up and stay quiet, you tell her.
Yeah, there's a difference between free speech and libel or slander.
I don't know. No. I thought people were going to show up on my property with torches. I thought it was going to be I thought it was a witch hunt that was going to start. You tell 30,000 followers, this person, especially when there was all the bad Orange Man stuff going on, you tell everybody this guy is a bigot, homophobe, racist, transphobe, and all that stuff. You know what you're fucking starting. You are like I could have jumped off a building. You know, I could have. That's the kind of stuff people commit suicide over. I mean, this is no fucking joke. I mean, this is no fucking joke. So let's see how
trying to end your career and you didn't.
I don't know if it's backwards.
Yeah, I can actually read it. Says, poor Sal was kicked out of Typo, kicked out of Life of Agony 2 times, is a bigot, homophobe, transphobic, supported trans band and military. He's a gaslighter amongst his, I can't read the rest of it because of the big
amongst his most loving friends. Because
he's envious, spiteful, combative, and hates his own pathetic life. Contemplate that. You know, you
if
just
I knew
had
that,
a kid.
I would never had you on the show.
You just had a kid, for fuck's sake.
I'm a father of a disabled child too, like catastrophically disabled. You know what I mean? So,
right,
so like, did they not know that they were going to ruin somebody's job? Because you want to know something? After that, that was the kickoff for cancel culture. So then I put out of January. This was the January 2019 was the scheduling of When the World Becomes Undone was supposed to be released, and this comes out months before when they were already like putting out the singles. It was just all set up to crush me and destroy anything I were to do after that band. And so it was such a silent job that I even said to the agent that was their agent, he was doing he got me a couple of Mercy shows. I guess he was trying to ease me down, you know. He got me a couple of shows. I was like, dude, this don't feel right. Everything's different. We usually get offers by now for Europe. We usually do this. What's going on? There's something weird. There's something different. People not picking up the phone. There's not the same. I knew there was something up. And I even said to him, I said, I feel like I got blackballed. I said, I feel like I'm blacklisted now. Nah, you're not blacklisted. You're not. No. All these fucking people just really jumped on that train. Because why? They saw the opportunity to shed their skin and start again and reinvent themselves. Every religion or civilization needs a patsy and a martyr. Well, I became the martyr. I'll admit it. I'm a son of a bitch. I'm no angel. I got a big mouth. I'll tell it like it is. I'll probably hurt your feelings. But I'm the most honest person that wears his heart on his sleeve, and I'll tell it like it is. And I'll also help you when you're fucking, need help. That's just the person I am. I'm a Cancer, and I'm a dog sign on the Chinese zodiac, so I'm loyal.
Right.
So I am very emotional. So what do you want? So anyway, these groups, they emboldened the fans on these groups. The Life of Agony group page, for example, is one of them. These fans were all emboldened, and all these new fans that just jumped on board that were from that whole, this whole movement, thought it was okay to start going off on me, or thought it was okay to make fun of me, or thought it was okay to trash me on their group pages. That I get it. You can't say the band directly was doing it, but guess what? One of the main members of that band had a direct connection and control with the admin that owned that page. They could have told them, hey, whatever's going on is internal. Don't, you're the admin, you're moderating, this is your page. Don't allow the fans to, say those things either. He still did what he did in the band, right?
Right.
Okay. That's one thing. But listen, like I said, I agree about splitting up. I agree about not dealing with them. They don't want to deal with me. Fine. No problem. But then to go out of your way, it's funny too, because when I was working on my record, When the World Becomes Undone for Pale Horse Name, that they rushed to put out that record that they did. Notice how it's been 5 years. We must be out of ideas. 5 or more, right? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
They rushed to get there. It was such a neck and neck competition, I guess. I don't know. Both our records ended up coming out the same day.
Oh, really?
I think it was October 11th was the release date. It was really interesting, that whole thing, how it went down. And so,
do you think that was set up to do that, to have them both come out?
You know what? Whether they had the day first, you know what? A lot of bands happened to have released that day. October's a good month to release records. So
that should give us an idea, Wayne.
It wasn't just us two that were doing it, but that's it. And I did another record. I toured. I did 4 tours in 2019 with APH&D. We worked our tails off, but you know what? All of that crisis shit that was going on with the blacklisting and the problems that things were being said was really getting to me. And then that was starting to that was starting to overflow into my moods also, and I sometimes I then started having issues in discrepancies in APH&D with scheduling and everything, and I wanted to work. So I was also caught up in that race, that space race, because I had to stay quiet. I was working records. I couldn't really fight back. I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't say truth. But then what do? They make a movie, a documentary about, their fucking feelings. Really, I didn't see it still to this day.
Oh, who made the movie?
Life of Agony.
Oh, they did. All right.
The documentary.
Guys, the fact that he wasn't even involved in it made me say, you know what? This it's unauthorized. To not have the original drummer of that band in that film didn't mean shit to me.
You know what? Honestly, I didn't want them to call me up and be in their fucking movie. That wasn't it. But to just not even mention or show a picture or a video clip of me in the band playing, and then acknowledging other members that were in the band later on in the movie, it was like it was such an immature and childish act. Like, oh, we're gonna show him. We're gonna not mention him in the movie. This way, nobody thinks he ever was in the band. It had nothing to do with the sacrifice of building this band to the point of the success that we had. And that's what I found great offense in was. I was like, look at this. These 3 did it. You 3 did it. You 3 were just like any other hardcore band until Josh put his hands on you. You had a couple of good little sparks going on. He saw it. He brought me in because changes needed to be done because the label wasn't going to put your record out if you didn't make changes. And if it wasn't for Josh Silver and him bringing me in, that record would not have been as iconic as it was, because the arrangement with the songwriting, the working with the melodies, and even helping with everything from inside out. There was a lot of it happening in that studio, Ace London in Brooklyn, in that room with Josh sitting on the fucking couch, arguing with them, or in the studio arguing with them because they were totally ignorant. These people weren't theoretically trained, they didn't take lessons. So like to be told to tune down a D was like, I don't know how, it was like foreign. It seemed like they didn't want to change. And it was like the best thing they could have ever done because it made the band sound heavier, even though D isn't really that too low anymore considered. But anyway, there was a lot of other people involved, and they should have had they should have had Josh too. I don't think they mentioned Josh, did they? I don't think they mentioned the guy that had a lot to do with them getting signed and making their demos and making their songs great.
If I can interject, Josh Silver has more credibility than most musicians from that era because he's saving lives as an EMT.
Unbelievable. So, Yeah. What he's doing is he came to my house in July. We said goodbye. I was holding a few things for him. He came upstate, and that was the last time I saw him. And I wish him the best. We have a good we had a good run, and we did some incredible things together that, you know, I still can't believe that to this day people talk about these records. So
yeah, and they've been reissued and the 20th anniversary shows and stuff like that. So you know what album did the most, you know, throughout the entire career, and it's that first album that you were on, you know.
Oh yeah. That was it. And then, you know, and I'm proud of everything I've ever done. I'll never knock
As you
it.
should be.
So it's all great stuff. People change, people get ugly, people have different agendas, people don't get along, things happen. But when you actually do something without realizing how powerful your word is, and you can actually fuck somebody's shit up and make it really hard for them to the point where they're like, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I left New York. I got all the scenesters that would chime in, all the same motherfuckers I'd see backstage, like sweating and being nice and whatever, like sweating, sucking dick and shit. They're the same motherfuckers that talk shit on the internet too. You know, tough guys. You know, people think they were going to fucking teach me a lesson, you know, in the name of Mina, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, fine.
Well, again, this kind of goes back to what I said before. You know, people want to feel part of a community. They should try standing up for themselves as an individual and think for themselves.
Oh, that's what I did. And you can't do that anymore. And even to this day, even right now, even what I, you know, put up yesterday or whatever, the day before, even just saying that little bit of truth has ruffled some fucking feathers, and people don't want to aren't gonna fucking like I'm probably driven the nail into the coffin even further, but I don't care. It is what it is. I've been in and out of it for so long that if I make music, great. If someone wants to put it out, great. If I put a band together, great. If not, that's okay too. I mean, I've got a huge responsibility with my family that has uprooted the past year coming down here. We're all trying to, you know, make a way, and you know, everyone's doing a lot better than I am. It's me that's still got to make a way, actually. But you know, we're doing what we got to do. And I left New York. That was one of the reasons. I was like, fuck you. You're going to turn on me after I gave you my whole fucking life to this business and scene and sound and foundation, that now I'm the bad man. I'm a bad man because, and you labeled me all these things, and now I'm a bad man. I mean,
you know, I've been waiting for you to finally speak your piece, and I can't tell you how grateful I am that Wayne reached out to you and you said, I'll do it. You came to our podcast to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, why not? I'll do it. As long as no one's trying to I've had journalists a few times, even on when I would do press for the records, try to lure me or bait me into answering certain questions at that time. And I'd be like, I'm not talking about that band. I'm not talking about me. I was so angry that I knew if I started shooting my mouth off, it was going to kill my record immediately. I mean, it was already going to have a tough fight, but it was going to be dead in the water. So I knew I had to play politics. I had to play nice. I had to be like, and they knew that too. They knew, oh, he's got to keep his mouth shut. He ain't going to say nothing right now.
Yeah.
And it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going. And to the point where then when I started blocking these people, they would literally get angry. They would get angry on their group page and then say even more bad things because I blocked them. But it's like, I blocked you because you're talking shit about me and you want to just like spy on me and then interject your comments to my friends and fans that do like me and act like an asshole, or maybe just get information and go back to that camp with it. I had a lot of people do that too. I would get messages in Messenger out of the blue from people asking me questions and say, well, why would I answer that? You're going to most likely, how do I know you're not going to go back to some forum or to the band? Or people like to fuel the fire and stoke it. They like seeing misery. Misery sells. That's why the news is always telling bad news, and negative stuff. Everyone likes seeing everyone else being tortured and miserable. They don't want it to happen to them, but it's soap opera. It's like soapbox shit. They just want to eat popcorn and watch what's going to happen next in the war between Life of Agony and Sal Abruscato. Well, Sal Abruscato stayed quiet for 6 fucking years. I didn't do shit. You know what happened? When I saw that tweet, I retaliated. And that's why that also further escalated because I retaliated by putting up that picture and saying, look at what this person did. And all I had to do was just say the magical words, hashtag Janis Joplin's ugly twin sister.
Wow. I mean, look, our intention was never to bait you.
And that pushed her over the edge. And that was it. But that was me retaliating to someone putting out such a tweet that could have. Look what happened to Look what happened to Dimebag Darrell. I was sleeping with a shotgun right next to my fucking pillow in my bedroom, right there, ready to go. Because in these days, it's not hard to find where someone lives. I was waiting for someone looking to impress the band or the members or the singer, and do something foolish. I'll show him. I'll teach him a lesson. I'm a true blue fan. Look at my tattoo. Right? You never know. Look what happened to Dimebag. Look what happened to people before. So this is totally possible. So when you make these kinds of posts, you could be pushing a nut job over the edge to like go down in infamy. Well, fuck, I want to kill myself anyway. Well, I'll take fucking Sal Abruscato with me too. Right?
No.
This is how these things happen in the news. Nobody thinks of it until it's over. Oh, I knew him. I was his best friend. We were buddies to the end. Oh yeah, Sal, he was a good guy, great guy. Then all the wannabes that think they knew me or that really talk shit about me, they're the ones that will be right there saying they were my best friend. You could cause a lot of problems by saying things, and I never did that. I never did that to them. I never went and made a post and said that they're fucking pathetic musicians. I never said that they fucking are plagiaristic and copycats and they write generic riffs. I never went online and said that. I say it right now. I've said it to them in a studio, face to face, but they can't. That's part of the problem. If I'm taking a little bit of a producer's stance, and I think you're making up some 3rd grade riff and you're jumping up and down more than the riff is doing any kind of thing for me, then I'm going to tell you. Right. Very simple. But then what happens? You have such an ego, you get your fucking pussy tied up in a knot, and then I don't like Sal. I want him out of the band. I'm with there calling up people, And the girl drummer that they got, I have nothing against her. She don't know better, You can't, ignorance is bliss, She gets a phone call. Hey, we're thinking about changing drummers. She gets all giddy. They thought they were going to really get on the Ellen DeGeneres show because from what I understand, she's a lesbian. So they really thought they were putting on some kind of new reinventive power package that they were going to be on fucking RuPaul and on talk shows, and they were going to be on. Nina was going to be on The View. You know what I mean? She was going to be having coffee with Joy Behar over there, talking like
the last person I want to have Java with.
Yeah, talking about Yentas and shit and politics and how Orange Man is bad and all this shit. Fuck you and all your shit and your fucking movement because your rhetoric, you fucking fake.
Jason Aldean suing
bullshit.
them.
They're fake bullshit, man. It's all fake bullshit. It's all contrived, trying to make it. It's like the band, the engine that never could, like the little choo-choo train that could never make it up the hill. I mean, for God's sakes, I tried the best I could too in that band to become as big as possible. But the band plateaued and that was it. And so they're constantly trying to reinvent themselves in a way to become bigger than they are. They are fortunate and blessed to have the cult following that they have and they can still work. And that's great, but you didn't have to fucking like ruin it for me too. Okay. Because you're all a bunch of pussies and you can't handle my fucking mouth when I say it like it is. And that's, freedom of speech, don't hurt people, don't hurt kids, don't touch people, don't be physical, don't rape, don't attack. But words, if I'm telling you I don't like this idea, then deal with it, agree to disagree and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
I was all for it, but just shoving it down my throat that it was about that 24/7 and dealing with the mood swings and the hormones and sitting and living on eggshells because I didn't know if this person was going to bite my head off in the van on the 5-hour trip to fucking Stuttgart, Germany. I mean, what kind of fucking shit that was no fun. Yeah. And then all we talked about backstage was about that shit.
And my wife had a friend that did the same thing, went through the whole transition thing. He ended up actually passing away because he ended up getting cancer from actually the treatments and the other stuff that he was doing or whatever. But
really,
he was, he'd been to my house a few times or whatever, normal. He came over when he finally did a transition. It was awkward. It was weird, but, we still treated him like, he's our friend, whatever. But like you say, they get to a point where something happens and they just start being against everybody. And all his Facebook posts is this person don't like me. You don't like me. And he's blocking people and just saying all these
fighting with
same
people
things
left and right
for no reason.
Fight. This fucking guy, a girl or whatever, this first person, they're fighting. They're at war with like the singer from Against Me. What's her name? Sarah Grace or
right.
What's her name? The girl, the one
that you said it right. It's Sarah Grace.
Sarah Grace. They're having a war with each other. She's warring with Dylan Mulvaney. She's fighting. I have transgender followers on my personal Facebook page that commented on the post I made, and they said the same thing. They said, "Look, I've seen what this person's saying and I see all the rhetoric and they are by no means trans. They hate themselves. They're not the real thing." And I'm like, I agree. I said that 5 years ago. They're not the real thing. They're doing it for the wrong reason. This is predation. You want to be running around with a woman like a woman, but then you're going after, what kind of diseases are you giving girls? I mean, really, like, as it is, the bouts of STDs and shit. What are you doing? What are you doing? And that's my problem. Okay. Like if you want to be a guy that dresses up like a girl and you want to be with men, God bless you. More power to you. Look, I had gay friends. I had gay hair cutters. I was dating someone that had gay friends that we'd go out to dinner with. I get high. I got high because I had friends that were living on Bleecker Street. We'd go to their apartment. They'd have a party. No problem. I'd be surrounded. I used to get a kick out of it, especially if they'd make a compliment or flatter me. Fuck it, right?
Right.
Why not? Because I would rather hang out with gay men that are men than this crazy circus act that's going on right now with this the tranny stuff, right?
Well,
yeah, no. This is the problem. Is like I think like it happened in Virginia at the school. It's happening in places. It's happened at a few women's gyms. These people disguise themselves that they're trans and they want to dress up like women, and they walk into the bathroom. They walk into the locker room and they take advantage and assault women.
Are they
scary?
You know what it is? It's just the people in that community who are the most vocal are really on the fringe, because I as well know people who, identify as LGBTQ, whatever, what have you. And they are normal, productive members of society. And they all say, they don't speak for me. I speak for me. Exactly. And that's the problem. It's like,
I agree.
And the problem is people in general need to remember social media is not real life. And they forget that because they feel like they get and this is for all people who get sucked in that, wind tunnel of social media. They feel like, they get validation, instant gratification. And again, it's like they can't think for themselves. They can't be their own persons. And truth is, we never asked you to come on the show to bait you or to instigate you into having to, play devil's advocate. We wanted you to speak your piece because we feel like it's really fucked up that, you never had that fair shot.
Thanks for letting me. That was my problem. And that was my problem with the industry as well. My problem with the industry was like, after all the sacrifice I did, all the touring and all the things, I did my job to help you sell records too. And nobody contacted me and said, even friends, because what they did was they started taking out friends, like taking friends on tour and shit. Like as soon as I was like, right away, they took Silver Tomb out, who had Johnny and Kenny in it, and they started surrounding themselves with people that were friends with me forever, like a long time. They started, just turning people one by one against me. So,
did it work? I mean, are you still friends with Johnny and Josh and Kenny?
I'm friends with Josh. I'm okay with Johnny too. He's doing what he's got to do. We split up. Things didn't work out in APH&E. That's fine. I wish him the best of luck. It is what it is. He's a working guy. He's got to pay his bills. He'll do what he's got to do.
He's in Hawaii right now. He's okay.
Yeah, but is it okay? I mean, that was my problem. If I would have played the game and be like, I'd be, covering this, covering that, covering this. But I always wanted to be the innovator. I always wanted to be part of the innovation, the creating part, so. But yeah, great, come on and feel the noise. God bless you. Good luck. On to greener pastures, but no, I don't really talk to anybody really. I did my own thing. Like I said, I just got up and left New York. I didn't even barely say goodbye to anybody. And, it's amazing how things will change in 30 years, especially when there's people that you've helped, a lot of times get to the places where they've gotten to. So, but hey, I get it. A lot of people are fearful. A lot of people are afraid. So as soon as you say something rebellious right now, they fucking drop you, or they can't work with you, or, they're afraid they're going to get blacklisted in the business and someone's going to they're not going to get the work, or it's lame how much pussy's out there with this shit, just nobody's putting their foot down. Wait a minute. Why can't I fucking book the guy? Why can't I work with him? He didn't do anything bad. What do you do? Right? I heard rhetoric I even heard it from one of the guys when I was in this, just because I'm no longer working. Like I said, this band Humane was a project. I'm not going any further with them. I don't have the time. But even guys in that band dug around and read stupid things said about me on Reddit. And when they were trying to
mind dump,
they were shopping around for a publicist, and one publicist, someone I never met, some younger guy, Brooklyn, crying no, I can't handle this because you're working with Sal Abruscato. And he said I don't like what he said about Mina. So you're not going to you won't work.
You're not going to make money.
You're not, that's not even money. There's no fucking money. There's no money.
I know, but you know what I mean.
But you're not going to work with the band or do the publicity job because you heard something said. And it's all, you know what it is? They forget it's all hearsay.
Right.
It's all hearsay. There's no more innocent until proven guilty. It's all hearsay. You heard me shoot my mouth off in retaliation to something. That's because somebody did something to me. And if you can't take it, then don't dish it out. Don't say something on Twitter and think I'm going to sit there quiet. So now these bozos thought they got away with it. Maybe not really got away, but they were like, wow. I'm sure they expected me some backlash for the movie. for the documentary. I know they did it on purpose. They were waiting for it. Some backlash for me to go to the press and rip on the movie, tear it apart, call it shit, and then they can get their hate parade to get back on board and continue this persecution of shadowing and snuffing my existence. And I didn't. I didn't say nothing. I had people write to me on Messenger, hey, I saw the movie. I think it's really fucked up what they did to you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I heard. Great.
Which is the better route to take, because you know what? That killed the publicity for that documentary too.
I did that out in the open. Did that to play politics, and now I'm at a point now that I left New York.
Are you happier now? Are you feeling better now after all that? I mean, health wise, are you okay?
Oh yeah, I get screened. I go a lot. I do. I have a new specialists and stuff down here, and they're great down here. This is the place. I mean, I'll tell you, Florida is the place to go to die anyway. I mean, so it's like they got great doctors and hospitals and stuff, and state of the art. It really is. It's state of the art. The places I've been to, but I have now a new hematologist. So I began with him, so now I'll see him again in November and get my screening done where they check everything out. Like vials and vials of blood. I've had bone marrow biopsies done, and that was the thing too. Like in 2018, I had a bone marrow biopsy done. I've had the CT scans. Because the numbers would get erratic, and the real true way to tell is, beyond blood tests is you got to have bone marrow biopsy, which is it was, uncomfortable. It sucked. It really stressed me out. Really did. It was something I had to do like literally 3 days, I think, after the release day show I did for the Pale Horse Named Death, When the World Becomes Undone album, when we played Mercury Lounge. 3 days later, I was like, yay, I'm going to get a freaking hole poked into my freaking pelvis, and they're going to take out jelly. And that was the kind of stuff I was dealing with the prior year, and the fears and the concerns. And it was a total miscommunication. It was pure selfishness of ego, people just thinking about themselves. And they were going through, which we all do. I think they were going through a midlife crisis. I think they were starting these fucking guys are like 50 years old now, still jumping up and down like banana heads, on stage. And it looks ridiculous to me, actually. They're starting to look haggard, and they're starting to get, it's starting to look ridiculous a little bit. Like I'm all for like staying out and working and doing your craft. Something funny about seeing like your middle-aged friends or middle-aged people, still at it, trying to play these little fucking dives and I don't know, it just gets a little bit, I don't know, the dignity kind of starts fading away. Maybe I don't know. It's just like, it's weird when you hit that 50 mark too. It's just you start looking at yourself funny too. Like, do I look like a fool here? I'm
43 and I think that now.
Yeah.
I go to shows sometimes. I'm like, I love this music, but I don't fit in these places.
Because it's all young kids around you, so you might as well just listen to music at home and watch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy. Like Sunday, I'm taking my my best friend and I are taking my eldest niece. Your best friend. My best friend outside of the podcast. My best friend outside of my band, our band. We're taking my eldest niece, who's 23. She loves the band Ghost. We're taking her to Connecticut to go see Ghost. So for me, it's like, you know what? I'm totally happy being the cool uncle that takes the younger generation of kids in my family to go to their concerts. Teach her right. I'm glad you like Ghost.
Teach them right. Well, teach them right as far as just taking them to a concert. Ghost is good, and I think Tobias is a very talented individual, and I'd love to strike a conversation with him, and it'd be probably an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, Wayne and I have the same philosophy on music. It's like, we're both in our early 40s, and we just started our band, Severed Angel, last year. We wrote 2 albums worth of material. We have one album that got released this year, and Wayne, to his credit, I wrote these songs after I just lost my mother last year to COVID, and
Like,
Wayne kept on. Thank you. But Wayne was the one that kept saying, he's like, Lou, put it on record, put it on record, put it on record. And I was like, I don't know if I'm inspired to play. And then all of a sudden it's like, I sent him one song that I did 10 plus years ago. And he said, oh, this is good. And that set it off. And, the fact that that all of us have been able to kind of like take all of our influences and everything we like about music and put it into, sorry, Sal, what's up?
Not to interrupt, but I gotta get up at 5 a.m. and I just
no problem. I'll hurry this up.
Fucking bad. We're another 2 hours ago.
But
it's like, I'm sorry. I'm enjoying it too, but I realize I gotta get up.
I'll wrap it up real quick.
School in the morning.
But he
but I love it. I'm loving this. That's why I'm on so long.
Thank you.
I appreciate
that. The fact that he was like, pushing me to get this stuff out there, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, we've released it, and people are loving it. I'm like, see, that's what it's about. Like that bringing people together through good music. And I'm going to conclude on this. And I'm going to conclude on this point. Typo Negative meant the world to me as a teenager when I first discovered it, because it saved my life. So I wanted to say thank you personally.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Thank you. Fans wouldn't be nobody without the people that love them, and fans.
And rest in peace, Peter Steele and Keith Alexander.
Yeah. So, you guys, when will this be up?
It's live. It's up.
It's already now.
Will there be a link after that? Could you send me a link?
I'll give you a link. But tomorrow
so
I'm going to make
share?
I'll do that. But I'm also going to make it a podcast, because we do both video and audio.
So
that'll be tomorrow afternoon or so.
All right, you know how to get in touch with me, Wayne. Yeah. Awesome.
Did she ever delete the comment on Twitter?
I'm sure, like, we snagged it. It was copied right away, but I'm not certain if maybe they did, because they were fearful of maybe illegal something. Maybe I don't know if there was. I don't know what I could have done legally. It would have been probably a very long process anyway to get anything out of it. But I don't know for sure if it was taken down. Maybe it was, but I never got confirmation, to be honest with you. But
they have to live with it.
It's deep in the archives, and that's fine. Again, but these types of things are dangerous, and that's really my gripe. Is like, you didn't need to say that about me publicly, and you didn't need to like discredit my work that I did in the band. That's
could have just kept it in between, you guys, and that's it. Didn't have to put it
out. That too, and that's part of the problem. See, everyone thinks they know the band and they know our business, and they thought people went off on. A lot of people said a lot of things that just, just whatever. It just spun out of control, and here we are. Now it's like I got to worry about. You got to watch what you say, and I'm tired of that. I don't give a shit.
Do you think it could ever be fixed?
Would you believe for a second there? For a fucking second, even after this dumb movie, I was considering. I was trying to like reach out to like have a conversation. Let's just, life is short. Let's just have closure or have a conversation and whatever. For a second, I was considering that for a minute, but then I said why? Because a few times I did try to play nice, like even like showing up on the group, like these. People on the fan pages, they're fans of a record that I played on, but then here I am. I'm trying to like maybe. I tried a few times to like, kind of. They would go off on me and they'd start laughing. And then when I say, and "This is how retarded these new fans are," I'd be like, "Yeah, but I wrote this. You can see my name on the credit on Ugly, or I wrote this on A Place Where There's No More Pain, no more pain." And then instead of taking me seriously, I'd get like a laugh emoji back. Like this would be their response from these like fruit cups, like these fucking flakes, like these nut jobs. They just, ha ha ha. No, that's the respect I get. Like that's like I was part of that thing that you're saying saved your life, and now you're laughing at me when I tell you that that's how important I was or part of it. So fuck it, whatever. It's a lot of hot air. It's just that I'm over it. It's old news. I just decided now to talk about it. That's what it is. I decided to say my side, and not a lot of people saw that. A lot of people know about the wrongness, and a lot of people unfortunately stayed quiet. Whether they were in the industry, the press, or they were the friends or the fans. A lot of people saw what was going on was wrong, and they stayed quiet and they let it happen. And it's the same thing that's happening to a lot of people around this country that may not happen to be agreeing with something, and they lose their job, they get fired, and they can't get another job because they've been blacklisted in the industry. Hollywood, it's the same mentality. It really is. And the music business is no different. And it's not any safer or less seedier than Hollywood. So on that note, thank you so much.
I'm glad we're not part of the music industry, Wayne. And Sal, thank you so much for coming on the Ratsai Review to speak your piece, man. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of fun, and I really appreciate you.
Likewise, anytime. Stay in touch and hit me up on the.
I hit you a friend request on Facebook, so hit the accept button.
Yeah, me too.
What, you did it now? Did you do it now?
I did it the other day, like yesterday.
It's so
I did
tough
it earlier
for me. I got this is why I started a page too. It's like thousands of people wait, and I'm maxed out, but I got a little bit of space. So it helps me to know that you're telling me this. So when did you do it? Because you should be
yesterday.
At the top of the list.
Yeah,
all right.
Yesterday.
I just did it today.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible with it because it's just when I look at it, I have like 15 space, like I'm at like whatever it is, 5,000 almost. And then it's like all these people wait. I'm like, but I have always been careful. I try to keep not all my stuff public because I've had a lot of spies start trouble with me. And in that kind of situation.
Well, we're not going to. We would never do that to you because
no. It's just that
we got your back, man.
Just let you know. Just let you know. You're always welcome back here as well. So you were awesome, and I'm glad to finally get to talk to you. So
Brooklyn Queens Expressway, new band right here. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, called the BQE.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. You have a nice night, guys.
All right, Sal. Thank you.
Yep. And I'll send you the link and everything tomorrow afternoon sometime. All right.
RatsaiReview.com.
RatsaiReview.com. Hit subscribe. If you don't, I'll find where you live. Understand me?
Because we know you're fucking someone else.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Thank you, guys.
Good morning,
guys. All right. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.